Oh,
So that was nice.
Very nice.
My Texan parents weren't into the New Hampshire weather.
No,
you know,
yeah, I bet not.
And it was just a bad couple of days for me to be here because it was so cold.
Yeah, right,
and
exactly. It was like almost unseasonably cold.
Yeah. So they got a brisk welcome.
Was that the first time here?
My dad had never been here before. My mom had visited occasionally. So, well, they got to meet my son for the first time, so that was
wow.
great. Yeah, it was special.
Yeah.
Yeah, how were yours?
Good, good. No traveling for us. We had a bunch of people here like, from all over the place.
Oh, nice.
Thanksgiving, but,
So you hosted her?
yeah, but for Christmas it was just kind of like the local crowd. I mean, my mom and sister and brother-in-law were the only ones who came from out of town, and they were like within a couple of hours drive.
Oh,
So.
okay. So not too bad, yeah.
Everybody good? I got 7 o'clock. Larry, if you don't mind, sir? You still have that role. I appreciate it. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the January 8th, 2026 meeting of the City of Nashua Planning Board. First item on the agenda, can we have a roll call?
Sure. Mayor Donches? Bob Bollinger?
Here.
Adam Varley?
Here.
Maggie Harper? Scott Leclerc? Dan Hudson?
Here.
Larry Hirsch?
Here.
Cameron Green?
Here.
Patricia Klee?
Here.
Benjamin Zoller?
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Next item on the agenda, approval of minutes from the December 4th, 2025 meeting. Has any member of the board had an opportunity to review the minutes and is willing to make a motion regarding their acceptance or acceptance with amendment? Alderman Klee.
I will make that motion.
All right. Thank you. Motion by Alderman Klee. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Hirsch. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any recusals? No? Motion passes. All right, next item on the agenda, communications. Scott, anything that came in late that wasn't in our original packet?
I can speak to that.
Yeah,
Connor,
I think
thank you.
Connor can update you.
Yep, so we had a few changes since we published the packet on Friday. We had an updated staff report for several cases just to better position the staff comments of fire and engineering for each project. We also had a change to the CUP criteria letter for A250164 for the DPW garage, and they also provide some additional presentation materials tonight.
Thank you very much. And I also understand under general communications, we may have a member of the public that would like to speak this evening. Ms. Raymond, if you're present, please come right up. It's lovely to see you again. I'm sorry about making you wait last time, but the floor is yours. If you could just introduce yourself for the record, please.
Sure. My name is Beth Raymond. So I am a member of the general public. I'm a native. I'm from Nashua, and I've only recently had the opportunity to attend some of the planning board meetings. My impression, not knowing what to expect, was that your work is really important and that your work is really complex. To see the size of the applications you're reviewing, the expertise that you all have to have in various areas, and you do it twice a month. So I felt moved to write you a thank you note from my perspective, because what you do is really important. And if we didn't have what you're doing tonight, buildings and projects would not be safe for people like me. So you got a thank you note from one of your constituency. So anyways, that's what I wrote.
We really appreciate it, and so you know your letter is part of the official record for this meeting. And again, all apologies extended to you for the wait at the last meeting, but
No.
thank you.
No, the wait was fine from a board and what you do, so I was glad to be there.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Raymond. Next item on the agenda, report of chair, committee, and liaison. Ms. Harper is not here. I do have one thing I would like to mention, though. Today is a big birthday day. Mr. Hudson as well as Mr. Durfee, both share a birthday. So, and they decided to spend it with us this evening. So, happy birthday to you both. I hope we make it memorable and enjoyable for you, so.
I hope not.
Not too memorable, yeah.
All right. Moving along, before I start our regular cases this evening, would just like to say we have a fairly lengthy agenda this evening. We're going to certainly try to get to everything on the agenda. I would like to note the board does reserve the right after 10 o'clock to stop hearing new cases. But that said, we'll sort of take the temperature as we move along here, and obviously the flow of the cases we're hearing tonight will determine what we're able to get through and what we're not able to get to potentially. So I would like to read the procedure at this time. The procedure of the meeting is as follows. After the legal notice of each conditional, special use permit, site plan, or subdivision plan is read by the chair, the board will determine if that application is complete and ready for the board to accept jurisdiction. The public hearing will begin, at which time the applicant or representative will be given time to present an overview and description of their project. The applicant shall speak to whether or not they agree with the recommended staff stipulations. The board will then have an opportunity to ask questions of the applicant or staff. The chair will then ask for testimony from the audience. First, anyone wishing to speak in opposition or with concern to the plan may speak. Please come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. This will be the time to ask questions they may have regarding the plan. Next, public testimony will come from anyone wishing to speak in favor of the plan. The applicant will then be allowed a rebuttal period, at which time they shall speak to any issues or concerns raised by prior public testimony. After this is completed, the public hearing will end and the board will resume its public meeting, at which time the board will deliberate and vote on the application before us. The board asks that both sides keep their remarks to the subject at hand and try not to repeat what has already been said. Above all, the board wants to be fair to everyone and make the best possible decision based on the testimony provided and all applicable approval criteria established in the Nashua revised ordinances. Thank you for your interest and courteous attention, and at this time, if I could respectfully request that you silence or vibrate your mobile devices, that would be fantastic. All right, before we get going, I do just want to state, if anyone is here for the property located at 16 East Glenwood Street this evening, that case has been postponed to the January 22nd meeting. Other than that, everything else on the agenda will proceed. New business under conditional special use permits. First item on the agenda is property located at 840 West Hollis Street, City of Nashua, owner and applicant. I would suggest to the board, if they make a determination for completeness of the application and acceptance by the board for jurisdiction, we could also combine that with case 825-0165, which falls under new business site plans. Mr. Hudson, before we hear that case, you would like to recuse?
That's the case, Mr. Chair. I'm an employee of DPW, so I'm going to recuse myself from voting, but as in my capacity as city engineer, I'll be available to answer any questions as may come up by the board.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Hudson. All right. Has any member of the board had an opportunity to review those applications, both for the conditional use permit as well as the site plan application, and is willing to make a motion regarding completeness and the board accepting jurisdiction over both of those cases? Mr. Varley, please.
Mr. Chair, yes, I would make a motion as to both A25-0164 and A25-0165, that both applications are complete and ready for the board to accept jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Varley. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Green. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Board has jurisdiction. If there's a representative on behalf of DPW, Attorney Perlman, I think you know the drill. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Happy New Year, everyone. Andy Perlman with Prunier and Perlman here on behalf of the City of Nashua and the Department of Public Works. I just have a brief introduction, and then I'm going to introduce our team, and then you'll be happy to know that I'll sit down. We are here for the proposed DPW garage and the associated buildings and improvements at 848 West Hall Street. The proposed garage is to be located directly behind the new office building that the city recently had approved and built, and DPW offices are in there now. With me tonight is Ethan Beals of Hayner Swanson. I, Meg, but Hayner Swanson. And Ethan's going to walk us through the plan, the conditional use permit, and waiver requests. Stephen Haas of Hoyle Tanner will speak to traffic issues. We know traffic is an issue for this application. Janet Slamenda of HKT Architects is also here to speak to the building design. We were here in this room last month getting the zoning board approval for the wetland special exception, so the site can be, kind of a flat site can be built out. And I'm going to turn it over to Ethan, but actually I'm not going to turn it over to Ethan. I'm going to ask if we could indulge me and have our some aldermen speak to their support for this project. But before I do that, I just want to call out to this board that this is not Teak Drive. Now, that's a bit unfair to you folks, because you don't have you may not know what I'm talking about. You don't have a Teak Drive application in front of you. The city of Nashua is seeking to permit a water line coming from Teak Drive for a future fire training facility. And that's been somewhat controversial. A lot of people have voiced their concerns about that. That's not this application. This application is the garage. It has nothing to do with Teak Drive. So I just want to call that out there. Frankly, I'm speaking more to perhaps some audience members than to the board, but we're not here to speak to the Teak Drive issue. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I am going to have Ethan come up, but before I do that, I know at least Alderwoman Gregg wants to speak, perhaps Alderman Dowd as well, if I may. So thank you. We can answer any questions as we go along.
Certainly. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm Alicia Gregg, Alderman at Large for the City of Nashua. I also am a state representative representing Ward 7 in Nashua. I appreciate all of your work on important projects like this. I'm here to speak in support of the DPW garage project, which received unanimous approval from the zoning board some weeks ago with zero public opposition. I understand your role is to look at how this project fits into our city's broader infrastructure and development picture, so I want to address that directly. I also need to be frank about what I saw when I toured the current Streets Department garage facility. The conditions are sorely outdated and deteriorating, and I have genuine concerns about the health implications for workers reporting there every day. These aren't abstract concerns. I saw it firsthand. We're trying to operate a modern municipal service with equipment that can no longer fit in facilities designed for a much smaller operation. Just as critically, that location has absolutely no ability to expand. We cannot build what we need where we are. The choice isn't between expanding there or building new. Expanding there is simply impossible. Beyond the immediate needs, this is smart fiscal planning. We're talking about protecting and maintaining a fleet of over 160 vehicles. Our current streets department can host a tiny fraction of our main fleet. Proper indoor storage and consolidated maintenance facilities will extend the life of this expensive equipment and reduce our long-term replacement costs. That's taxpayer money that we're protecting. Operational coordination also matters tremendously, especially for time-sensitive services like snow removal. Having our fleet equipment and coordination capability in one consolidated location means faster response times when residents need us most. I should also note the DPW workforce operates on a 6:45 a.m. to 2:45 p.m. schedule. They're arriving and departing outside of peak traffic hours, so our trucks and equipment will be moving when residential traffic is the lightest. This project has been thoroughly vetted. The Conservation Commission gave their approval, the Board of Public Works approved it, and zoning approved it unanimously. Every body that has reviewed this has recognized it's necessary and appropriate. We also have to consider what's at stake operationally. The DPW manages $7.5 million in annual paving, maintains our entire street system, handles solid waste for the whole city, and responds to every emergency from snowstorms to infrastructure failures. The workers doing this essential work deserve facilities that are safe and adequate. And our city deserves infrastructure that supports these critical operations. We have already invested a great deal of money in the development of this. This is sound planning for essential city infrastructure. I encourage your approval, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Alderman Rick Dowd, Alderman Ward 2, 8 Ascot Park here in Nashua. I've done a little bit of research on these types of buildings and why they're critical. And this is one of the most important acquisitions the city is going to have in quite some time. There are a number of reasons of that. One is that we have a number of vehicles now stored outside. And I want to read something from you from a national interest in storage facilities. Outdoor storage slows productivity and cuts down vehicle life, especially in regions with more extreme winters. Personnel that don't have heated storage waste countless hours while warming up vehicles in the winter. Then there's the toll the cold, snow, and ice take on unsheltered vehicles. Also, those extended outdoor warm-ups pump more exhaust into the environment. Right now, the majority of our trucks are stored outside. And we're spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on this piece of equipment. And we're having more and more pressure on our SURF accounts for a number of reasons. One, funding, and two, these vehicles take much longer to procure now. Our fire trucks can take up to 4 years to procure. So we're gonna have to modify our SURF timing. And to be able to keep vehicles longer and functional is going to be critical to saving hundreds of thousands of dollars every year for the city. There's been a question about funding. It's very expensive, yes. But when we, on the Board of Aldermen, if we approve the bond for the building, that money doesn't get spent right away. It'll be spent over 2 or 3 years. And the way we handle projects, because I've been involved in many school building projects, is when the expenses first come in, they're paid out of cash. Then, when it's prudent, the treasurer sells the bonds to recover the cash that was paid for the work that was done. Not the whole bond, not the whole bond authority. So, there's cost savings in that area. As was mentioned, the West Hollis Street traffic, it may come up as something against it. Actually, in done my research, the traffic's going to be less. Right now, the vehicles travel between the landfill where they're stored outside and the maintenance facility and then back. Now, they'll be stored at one location, go do their thing, go right back to that one location. So there'll be less traffic on West Hollis Street, less fuel used, which is also critical because fuel is expensive. So that's one thing. The other thing, the current, Alderman Gregg mentioned quite a bit about the current facility. If you've ever toured that facility, you realize that it was built a long time ago for far less vehicles and now does not meet a lot of the criteria for maintaining our current vehicles. This facility will give us more space, store many of the vehicles inside that are extremely expensive. And the other thing beyond the vehicles at DPW, this facility will be able to handle our other vehicles, whether it's police cars or fire trucks, as far as there'll be a washing bay that will allow them to save on those vehicles. Park Rec and the school department's vehicles, all stored outside, will now have the capability of being maintained inside, which will be another cost savings. So storing vehicles outside is a lot of wear and tear on these vehicles that we're trying to avoid. Whether it's batteries, tires, hoses, or just the fact that you have to start them up and warm them up for some time before you can out drive off on them, that reduces the life of these vehicles. So I implore you to please pass this tonight. This is very important to the city, and it pretty much has the entire support of the Board of Aldermen. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Beals, you're up. You know the drill.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Ethan Beals. I'm a project manager at Hayner Swanson doing business at 3 Congress Street here in Nashua, New Hampshire. Connor, if we don't mind changing, can you change to the first of the aerial display plans? It should be the sheet 1 of that same PDF. It should be that same PDF, Connor, that you were just on. But if you scroll up, yeah, it's the very first one. Thank you. The existing site is located at 840 to 848 West Hollis Street and is commonly referred to as the Four Hills Landfill. It's known to the City of Nashua Assessor's Office as Map D, Lot 54, and is located in the R30 A Suburban Residence, R9 C Suburban Residence, and the GMO Groundwater Monitoring Overlay zoning districts. In total, the site measures about 297 acres in size and is abutted by residential uses in all directions. While the site has small portions of frontage on Teak Drive to the north and Twilight Drive to the east, it has its primary frontage and gains access from West Hollis Street, which contains 2 main driveway curb cuts. The northerly driveway serves as the primary landfill access, and the southerly driveway provides access to the DPW administration building. The subject site is currently developed, the majority of which is used as the Four Hills landfill. This site has been used to dispose of municipal solid waste in the city of Nashua for over the last 55 years. In addition to the active landfill, the site also contains resident drop-off and recycling areas, the existing garage and storage buildings that support the landfill scale and scale house, the landfill methane and leachate processing buildings, a city parks and recreation garage, fire training facility, and finally, the 2-story DPW administration building, which was constructed a few years ago as phase 1 of this overall project. Topography on the overall 300-acre site is varied and contains several high points and steep topography on the landfill portions of the property. Connor, if you don't mind scrolling to the second one. While the total site is about 300 acres in size, this project is really focused on about 14 acres south and east of the existing DPW admin building, which generally sits in the western portion of the overall site. This portion of the site contains a garage and 3 hoop-style storage buildings for landfill operations, the previously mentioned fire training facility, a couple of debris piles for sorting, and a material laydown and storage area to support the active landfill and DPW operations. Topography on this portion of the site can generally be classified as mild to moderate, generally sloping from the west to several low points along the eastern project boundary. Several wetlands were flagged within and adjacent to the project area by GOV Environmental Services, the project's wetland scientist, and later field located by our office. Importantly, all of the wetlands flagged in this area are man-made and are related to stormwater infrastructure for the landfill. As a result, they do not carry any associated wetland buffer here in the city. The existing DPW admin building is serviced by city sewer, water by Pennachuck Waterworks, gas, and underground electric and telecommunication utilities. Thanks, Connor. The city DPW has long wanted to consolidate their operations at one location to help with operational efficiencies. City DPW operations generally consists of administration and engineering, which was previously located at 9 Riverside Street, but is now moved to the 848 West Hollis Street. Parks and Recreation, previously located at 100 Concord Street, but now has also relocated to the subject site. Solid Waste, which has always been located at the landfill. Wastewater, which is the wastewater treatment facility located at 2 Sawmill Road. And finally, the Streets and Fleet Maintenance Departments, which are currently located at 9 Stadium Drive. Now that Administration and Engineering and Parks and Recreation have relocated to the 848 West Hollis Street, DPW would like to relocate the Streets and Fleet Departments to the 848 West Hollis Street as phase 2 of the overall concept. As a result, it is proposed to construct about 128,000 square foot garage and maintenance building that will be attached to the eastern side of the existing DPW building. In general, the building will contain about 2,600 square feet of vehicle operation space. This is largely the connector portion to the existing building, and it will include things like additional locker room space and street and fleet operation and office space. About 30,000 square foot of the building will be the fleet maintenance. This is the portion of the building in the far eastern side of the project. This includes about 12 maintenance bays, a tire shop, welding bays, and other associated service and parts storage areas. A small 1,800 square foot wash bay will be attached to the main garage building. This will be a manual wash bay where DPW staff can wash down their equipment. And finally, the remaining 93,000 square feet of building space, which represents the large central portion of this building, is a large equipment storage garage. This garage will contain about 120 striped parking spaces, all of various dimensions, which will be used for the storage of vehicles and other DPW equipment, as you just heard, many of which is currently stored outside. Excuse me. In addition to the main building, it is proposed to construct about a 10,000 plus or minus square foot salt storage shed. Adjacent to the salt shed will be a concrete brine pad for the storage and production of de-icing brine. A 3,500 square foot detached auto wash building will also be constructed in the eastern portion of the project area. This is a larger auto wash and will be fully automatic, and it's intended to service all city vehicles, not just DPW, and this includes fire and police vehicles. In terms of parking, the existing DPW admin building contains about 75 parking spaces today. A new employee and visitor parking lot will be constructed that will add about 80 total parking spaces to this overall site. In addition to the vehicles and equipment that will be stored inside the garage, 29 uncovered, oversized equipment parking spaces will be constructed south of the garage. 11 covered parking spaces will be attached to the eastern side of the proposed garage building, and 12 covered parking spaces will be constructed in a standalone canopy structure just off of the south side of the garage structure. In the far southern portion of the project area, it will contain a gravel laydown area. This area will largely be utilized to store various earthwork materials, pipe, manhole covers, and other products that the department needs to keep in stock for emergency or other construction uses. Located within the project limits are two small wetland areas. These two wetlands are low-quality wetlands as they are man-made drainage ditches that really serve as a collection and conveyance ditch for stormwater runoff. As you previously heard, the National Conservation Commission issued a positive recommendation for filling these wetlands, and ultimately the Nashua Zoning Board of Adjustment approved a special exception to permit the filling of these two wetland areas, and this really helps us create the big development pad that we need for the proposed project. Can you switch to the other PDF, Connor? Do you mind? Before I turn it over to Janet to talk about the design of the building, I do want to point out a couple things in terms of how the building sits on the site in relation to the abutting properties. First, while the building is large in scale, it is located about 600 feet away from West Hollis Street itself and about 520 feet from the closest dwelling, which also sits on West Hollis Street. It's also located about 700 feet from the closest dwelling on Trestlebrook Drive, 1,800 feet from the closest dwelling on Farmwood Drive, 2,400 feet from the closest dwelling on Teak Drive, 3,000 feet from the closest dwelling on Twilight Drive, and about 4,200 feet to the closest dwelling on Pioneer Drive. I will also point out that we've tried to maintain about a 100-foot wooded buffer from the proposed project to the closest property boundary. The proposed building itself will largely be hidden from the public view as it is located behind the existing DPW administration building. Furthermore, given some of the existing grading constraints in the site, we're able to site the building approximately 5 feet lower than the existing admin building. In other words, the floor elevation of the garage building is about 5 feet lower than the first floor elevation of the DPW administration building. The combination of these items help minimize the visual impact from the building to the public view. Connor, if you can scroll to the first one. To help demonstrate this, Janet's team prepared two perspectives which shows the proposed building and its view from the public on West Hollis Street. This first one is looking down the Four Hills landfill driveway at West Hollis Street. And as you can see, again, this is clear clearly not this time of year with the leaves on the trees. But as you can see, the proposed building sits behind the existing DPW admin building. And then if you can scroll one more, Connor. This second view is looking down the DPW administration building entrance, also at West Hollis Street. And you can see the primary viewscape is really the DPW admin building with the garage sticking out just to the right of that. As you can see by those two presented perspectives, there's not a significant viewscape of the new building to the public from West Hollis Street. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Janet Slamenda, the project's architect, for a couple minutes to talk specifically about the building design.
Good evening. My name is Janet Slamenda from HKT Architects. I'm a principal there. I've been working with the City of Nashua for many, many years on their DPW projects, including the administration building. I'm going to talk to you today about the building you see before you. These plans were developed as the results of the city and the design team working together to plan for an efficient and cost-effective operations building for the Public Works Division. It's well thought through and blends in with the existing administration building as much as possible. The building location, as Ethan pointed out, is well off the main road. It is not easily visible to the public road or other residential properties. The structure will house city-owned vehicles and equipment that support the Public Works Division and the Fleet Maintenance Department, as well as support spaces that work together to make those buildings function. Also, as discussed by Ethan, I wanted to point out that the site is actually very confined in that area to the east and south of the administration building, between the recycling center and the roadway located on the edge of the landfill, and west to the property line. Multiple site and planning options were considered during the full multiple day interactive sessions we had with the city and the design team. It involved the end users in every step of the process from the beginning, so that we had a very clear idea of how the city wanted to operate, how they wanted to move trucks in and out of the site, how they wanted to move trucks in and out of the buildings, the safety of the employees and the people that would interact on this site, and then, of course, how the interior physical spaces are laid out to support their operations. The civil team on those days was working with us to figure out the grades. And this is really important. He talked a bit about the sloping of the site. There is a natural, I don't know how natural it actually is in the end, but the change in grade between the rear of the administration building and the rest of the site. And we use that 5 feet as an advantage to our project, bringing the building down as low as possible on the site. Of course, you know, if you tried to get it any lower, you'd run into problems getting the trucks to navigate those pitches. So they worked with us. We got it down 5 feet. Everyone was very satisfied with the concept of how these two interactive pieces would work. The proposed structure, as you can see, the green and the blue primarily are the two main portions of the building, with the green being the vehicle storage portion and the blue being fleet maintenance. The two red boxes represent the wash bays and the proposed automatic wash bay on the right. The big vehicle storage building is purposely designed to be very flexible. There are 120 line spaces, but those spaces are very deep, so you may see trucks double back, seasonally changed. It's very flexible. I do a lot of DPWs for a living, and I know that these plans will change how they use them from season to season, from year to year. What worked last year might not work this year. During big storm events, they'll be preparing those vehicles to get out. They do not have to, since it's a minimally heated building, they will not have to run their engines a lot to get going. They'll be stacked and ready to go. They'll even use those drive aisles to get the first vehicles out as fast as possible. It is a big building. It's almost 400 feet wide. no, 200 feet wide by 448 feet long. So it's a big building. There's one row of columns. The rest of it is clear span, which is also very typical for a public works facility. And then there are 6 double bay maintenance facilities, plus welding and tire areas, which are specialized areas. And then the rest of the linear blue things that you see in the back of it are office space and spaces that support parts rooms, things like that, that support the maintenance departments. On both sides of that vehicle storage, you'll see some support spaces. We can't forget that there are staff here that are working here all day. They need access to places to eat, places to use toilet facilities, shower facilities. Most of the shower facilities, or all of the shower facilities, are in the existing building. When we designed that original building, we planned for all of that to happen so that when we added to this building, it was a minimal add. The proposed building, you can turn to those elevations if you want. It's very hard to see because it's quite small, but it's a very simple building. It's low slung, keeping it as low as possible to the site. There are many 16 by 16 feet overhead doors which support the largest trucks coming into the building and moving. There is clear story windows to capture natural light along all the facades. And then there are man doors. There are no public entries on this building. They will have some doorways or entry points for people who are providing parts or bringing vehicles in from the other parts of the city. But there are no public access points, so we're not going to be mixing the public and the private anymore on a site. There is, as Ethan said, a freestanding salt shed on the western portion in the brine tanks and the freestanding automatic wash bay. From a design elevation for the buildings, the existing building, the administration building, if you've been there, is masonry block. There's 2 colors there of it. We're going to continue to use those colors and bring them onto the building. The pre-engineered building, which houses the vehicle storage, will have also metal panels as part of the pre-engineers that are insulated, metal panels, and then the fleet maintenance is all masonry. There are 2 roof profiles to look at. It's kind of hard to see, but there is a sloping roof over the vehicle storage building. It's almost just a flat roof that is pitched to drain, and then the rest of the building has a flat roof with some mechanical equipment that supports maintenance. The fleet storage building is a sheet roofing material, whereas the vehicle storage building is a standing seam roof. There are varying heights to these buildings. We didn't build things bigger than they had to be so that everything is as low as possible, and they vary from 19 feet to 33 and a half feet in height along the process. And those heights support all the incredible amount of equipment in the fleet maintenance. There are bridge cranes and there are exhaust systems to keep the building safe for the employees. So we have concrete masonry units, same colors. The metal pieces will also be very similar in colors. We're trying to keep the language going from the administration building. There are some over canopies and some panels, which will be the copper color that you see right now on the existing building. And the CMU materials were selected to protect the buildings from the trucks. These trucks are moving, they're kicking up dust and dirt and gravel, and so our buildings always include a masonry base or all the way up to the top, in this case, in the fleet maintenance masonry building. As I said, both buildings have the polycarbonate lighting to increase the amount of light inside. Many of the buildings that I've done with that amount of clear lane, you don't need to put on the lights until later on in the day or earlier in winter time when the light goes away earlier. So those are very beneficial products, and so we're trying to keep it low and simple as much as possible. You have any questions for me? Okay. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Before I ask Stephen Haas from Hoyle Tanner to come up and talk about the traffic analysis for the project, I do want to spend a minute talking about some of the internal traffic movements to the project area and to the site. First, the DPW administration building driveway entrance will be utilized by employees for arrival and departure in their personal vehicles. This driveway provides access to the proposed and existing employee parking areas in site. The Four Hills landfill driveway entrance will be utilized by employees making work-related trips and work-related vehicles. The current scale house, and resident trash drop-off areas will remain in their current locations. Commercial and city trash trucks visiting the landfill will continue to enter the site using the landfill driveway entrance. They'll drive up and over the scale, follow the landfill access driveway, which runs along the eastern project limits, ultimately proceeding to the active part of the landfill located in the southeast portion of the property. Adjacent to the scale is the resident bypass lane. Residents visiting the site will also enter the site using the landfill driveway entrance, drive down the resident bypass lane before proceeding to the approved resident drop-off areas, which exist north of the project area. Finally, adjacent to the bypass lane will be the main entrance to the DPW garage facility. The internal driveway for the maintenance garage facility has been designed to separate garage traffic from the previously mentioned landfill traffic by utilizing landscaped islands, retaining walls, and guardrails. The proposed garage and fleet portions of the building will contain several overhead doors that Janet just mentioned, primarily on the north and south side of the building, which will be used to enter and exit both the garage and fleet portions of the building. To exit the overall facility, a connection to the landfill access road east of the project area will be constructed. This will allow vehicles to exit the project area, loop back around, and ultimately leave the total site by utilizing the landfill driveway. A second driveway exit will also connect back to the employee parking area, but this will be gated and only used as secondary access in specific circumstances. All of the internal site driveways have been sized to adequately handle all of the large vehicles and equipment that will operate on the site. This time I'd like to see if Steve Haas could come up and talk about some of the traffic analysis for the proposed project.
Everybody hear me? Thank you, Ethan. Thank you to the board, and Mr. Chairman. As Ethan mentioned, my name is Stephen Haas. I am a Vice President and Traffic Operations Engineer with Hoyle Tanner and Associates. We're partnered with the city doing the traffic study for the Streets and Fleets Department relocation. So a bit of background. The original study for this project was done back in 2019, at that time evaluating the impacts of relocating all of the DPW operations, administration, engineering, streets and fleets, parks and rec. As we're here talking about, only a portion of that relocation has happened to date. Since that time period, we had COVID. As many are aware, the COVID-19 pandemic did dramatically impact travel, certainly during those years, but also after has affected travel patterns, when peak hours occur and how much traffic is actually utilizing roadways. So we wanted to revisit this study, make sure the assumptions that were done during that 2019 study were still valid, and see how the new traffic out there interplayed with the DPW relocation, the street and fleets relocation. So the scope of our study, as Ethan pointed out, we have the DPW driveway and the Four Hills landfill driveway that are up there on the screen. Those were evaluated in the original study. Those are both three-leg, stop-controlled intersections. But we wanted to have more of a sense of what was going on to the east of the DPW garage here, closer out towards the existing facility. So we also added the intersection of Wellesley Drive and, Wellesley Road and Ledgewood Hills Drive to this project, or to this study. This is about a mile from this location to the east. And it's a signalized intersection location. We wanted to have an idea of what the impacts would be there. We wanted to make sure we had updated traffic counts, as I mentioned. Post-COVID count, or pre-COVID counts really weren't necessarily applicable, so we wanted to see how things had changed. We had a 2023 count at Wellesley Road available to us. We also had the Regional Planning Commission conduct brand new counts at the new DPW Drive and the Four Hills Landfill Road Drive, so we could have the latest information. So we understand there's approximately 44 employees to be relocated to this street and fleet garage at this point. One thing to point out, this is a relocation. It's not a new generation of trips. These trips exist on West Hollis Road. They just exit the road sooner. So now we're seeing what the impacts of that relocation further to the west, down West Hollis are. Typically, with a traffic study, how we get an idea of the amount of trips that will be generated are using the ITE, or the Institute of Transportation Engineers, trip generation manual. So this book is a collection of studies basically looking at different land uses around the country and determining how much specific land use would generate for trips, both entering and exiting vehicles, based on the square footage of the building, the number of employees, and other metrics. For a facility like a DPW facility, there typically isn't great data in this book. To our benefit, that forced us to go out and do a count. So an actual count was done at the existing facility to truly record how much traffic is entering and exiting that building. So that's the most accurate data you're going to get when you're actually measuring the facility. So that is what was utilized for the study. The last thing to point out on the scope, the building is anticipated to be constructed in 2027. So we projected, we used that as our opening year, and then we projected out to 2037, so a 10-year design horizon, which is commonplace for a development study like this. So what did we find? From the trips that were counted, it's anticipated there will be 54 trips in the AM, again, that's entering and exiting combined, and 70 trips in the PM. Put that in perspective, that's about a car a minute that'll be relocated further down West Hollis. To further put that into perspective, there's about 1,600 to 1,700 vehicles per hour during the peak hour on generally the eastern portion of West Hollis. So those trips I just counted represent about 3 to 4% of that total. Probably the most important thing to point out, as one of the aldermen pointed out earlier, is that the street department peaks do not line up with the peak hours on West Hollis Street. The street department shifts begin early, so the actual peak from those vehicles using that facility are anticipated to be 7 to 8 a.m., whereas the peak on West Hollis is 7:30 to 8:30 in the morning. A similar case in the afternoon. Those shifts start early, so they end early. So the peak from the DPW vehicles, the streets and fleet vehicles, is 2 to 3 p.m., whereas the peak on West Hollis is 3:15 to 4:15 p.m. We did, however, want to be conservative, so we didn't just say, oh, they don't line up, we're not going to look at that. We said, let's look at the worst case. Let's take the peak from the street and fleet department, and let's align that with the peak from West Hollis, just to see, the maximum possible impact. Ultimately, we found that even doing so, there was minimum additional delay in queuing along West Hollis within the study intersections because of the street and fleet department relocation. So our capacity analysis gives us what's known as a level of service, or LOS, result. This is a letter grade that's assigned to the operations at an intersection or a given lane group at an intersection. So this typically ranges from A to F, with a stop-controlled intersection having 0 to 50 seconds of delay, 0 being an A, 50 being an F. And at a signalized intersection, 0 to 80, again, 0 being an A and 80 being an F. So the existing levels of service at these intersections range from level of service A to level of service C today. And with this relocation, are anticipated to remain at level of service A through C. Level of service A is basically no delay. It's not really a design goal. When you're designing a new facility or infrastructure, you're really shooting for that level of service C target. Level of service A and B is over-designed, empty roads. C is really that sweet spot. It's when you start to get to level of service E, where you're starting to approach capacity, and level of service F, where you're over capacity. So you have too many vehicles to actually get through your infrastructure, and that's when you start to see long delays in queuing. That's not the result of this project. We expect a few extra seconds of delay, 2 to 5 seconds, depending on which movement you're looking at and which intersection you're at, and around 1 to 4 cars, again, depending on which intersection and which movement you're looking at. The last thing we looked at was revisiting traffic signal warrants at the Fore Hill landfill intersection, which was looked at in the original study. Our findings, the traffic signal warrant basically is a measure of looking at if a given intersection and the volume of traffic that uses it, if a traffic signal is warranted to improve operations. There's different warrants that you can look at. There's volume-based warrants for vehicles, there's pedestrian-based warrants, there's crash-based warrants. We really focused on the volume-based warrants, and it did not meet a signal warrant. A lot of that is due to the movements coming in and out of these streets, or out of Fore Hills landfill. Most of the traffic is coming from the east, so taking a left into the facility, you only got to cross one lane of traffic, and then most of it is returning to the east or taking a right out of the driveway. So they have less delay in making those movements, and ultimately that's what kind of kicks it out of the signal warrant category. So in conclusion, the level of service within the study area intersections is expected to remain acceptable, again, level of service C, with this relocation, even out to the 10-year horizon that we evaluated, and as such, no mitigation of the infrastructure on the roadway was recommended. So, thank you.
Thank you.
The existing utilities in the site contain sufficient capacity to help to service and continue to service the site in this proposed building. Once constructed, the building will be serviced by water, by Pennachuck Waterworks, city sewer, gas, and underground electric and telecommunication utilities. In terms of stormwater, the project will include a combination of surface and subsurface practices. The goal of these practices will be to provide storage and treatment of runoff, releasing stormwater in a controlled manner to reduce the peak flows leaving the site in the post-development condition. A new stormwater trunk line, if you will be constructed to replace the stormwater ditches mentioned earlier that will be filled. This trunk line will tie into the existing stormwater outlet to the site. The combination of these stormwater practices will provide formal qualitative and quantitative treatment of stormwater runoff for a portion of the site that previously did not have any. A site lighting plan was included as part of the site plan. Lighting includes wall packs and light poles throughout the project area. All lighting will be downcast, full cutoff fixtures in order to minimize light spillover onto abutting lots. A site landscaping plan was provided as well. In general, the proposed plantings were really focused on 3 main areas. First, evergreen trees are proposed along the western limits of the project area to help bolster the existing wooded buffer. Second, several plantings are proposed adjacent to the existing wetland in the southern portion of the site. These plantings will help create a vegetated buffer from the project area to this wetland area. And finally, many plantings are proposed in and around the front of the building and employee parking areas to help make that portion of the project visually appealing. If I can move into the conditional use permit. A city equipment garage is permitted in the R30 zone by conditional use permit. A CUP criteria letter was submitted to the board dated December 31st with revisions on January 6th, 2026. I'll briefly go through those criteria. First, the building will not materially endanger the public health or safety. We pose that the consolidation of DPW operations to this site will actually allow them to help better serve the city's residents. The building will not substantially devalue abutting properties. The project is located on about 14 acres of a much larger 300 plus or minus acres landfill, which is currently active. The landfill and some DPW operations have existed on this site for over 55 years. Furthermore, the majority of the property's buffers will not be impacted as part of this proposed project. The use will be compatible with the adjoining uses in the area. As mentioned, the site has existed as a landfill for over 55 years. The building will be minimally visible from West Hollis Street and is consistent with the historic municipal uses on this site. The use will not have substantial adverse impact on roadway safety. As you just heard from Steve, The updated traffic memo demonstrates that the additional trips generated by this proposed project are not anticipated to significantly impact the capacity or operations of the studied roadways. Furthermore, we note that the DPW staff who are relocating are doing so from their Stadium Drive location, which is about 1.5 miles away from the subject property, showing much of this traffic already exists within this corridor of the city. The use will not have a substantial adverse impact on the natural environment. The majority of the project area is currently disturbed and utilized for various landfill or DPW operations currently. The proposed project will result in an improvement in stormwater management on the site when compared with the existing condition. Adequate utilities exist and the use will not require excessive public expenditures. We can confirm that adequate utilities exist on the site and within the area. Given that this is a public project, it is our opinion that the public expenditure section does not really apply to this project. In fact, the proposed project, once completed, will consolidate DPW operations, enabling the city to more efficiently provide services out to the general public. And finally, the site does not fall within the downtown zoning district. Mr. Chairman, we are requesting 6 waivers from the National Land Use Code. I'm happy to read my letter in detail, but out of respect for the time of the board, perhaps I could briefly summarize it and ask that the letter be incorporated by reference. The first waiver request is of 190-279B, which requires bearings and distances on all property lines. The proposed project takes place on about 14 acres of a 300-acre site, providing detailed boundary survey when the nearest boundary line to the project is in excess of 100 feet away from the proposed development would add significant cost to the project at no real benefit to the overall public. Waiver request 2 is of 190-279EE, requesting existing conditions on the entirety of the subject lot and on abutting lots. This is a common waiver request that the board hears, providing a detailed survey on the full subject lot and abutting lots is cost prohibitive and also provides no real benefit to the public. The third waiver request is of 190-184D, which requires median islands and parking aisles greater than 10 parking spaces. We currently have 2 internal rows of parking each, which contain 12 parking spaces. We are looking for these internal parking spaces and internal parking rows to not contain any median islands. This is primarily to assist the ease in which the parking area can be plowed. Not having islands will help DPW staff be able to plow this parking area with larger equipment, which will result in faster plowing and them being able to spend more time going back out and working on the city roads. Waiver request 4 is of 190-184B, which requires end cap islands on internal parking rows. We're currently proposing 2 painted islands instead of end cap islands on the end of both of those internal parking rows. For similar reasons, for waiver request 3, we believe not having end cap islands will help assist in plowing efficiencies. Waiver request 5 is of 190-172, which is the non-residential building design standards of the National Land Use Code. Janet spoke at length about some of the design of the building. That said, there are some sections of this specific portion of the regulation that the building does not appear to strictly comply with. The building will employ industry standard building elements that are cost effective and are consistent with the DPW garage, with a DPW garage building and the existing DPW administration building that currently sits on the site. Importantly, the building is minimally visible from the public on West Hollow Street. And finally, the last one is waiver request 6 of 190-272, which requires plan sheets to be 24 by 36 inch at a maximum plan sheet size. Our plan set is currently 30 by 42 inches in size. A larger sheet size allows us to include more site area and detail in our plans without needing a far greater number of sheets. In summary, we believe our site plan conforms with the City of Nashua Land Use Code. It is our goal to finalize the design and permitting effort later this spring, with potentially, if approved, a potential construction start at some point later this summer. In total, we anticipate about a 20-month construction schedule, although that is still up in the air as portion of the project may be phased out over time. We have reviewed the staff report and are in agreement with staff's recommended conditions of approval. We feel excited by this proposed project and will help usher in the new era into the future of the DPW in the City of Nashua. This time, myself and anyone on the team would be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Beals. Questions from the board at this time, either for Ethan, project architect, Attorney Perlman, anyone who presented testimony this evening. Alderman Clee, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two questions, actually, and I'm not sure if it would be necessary for this or for our city engineer, but when I was looking at the technical comments, 5.3, that talks about there shall not exceed 50 decibels between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. and 45 decibels between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. It may sound like a silly question, but is there much significance between the 50 and the 45 decibels?
So I'll answer your question somewhat. That is a city requirement on every single project, not just a commercial. That's a city requirement, and it really speaks specifically, I believe, to HVAC and other mechanical appurtenances. It is standard on every project that my firm has prepared in the last however many years. That is a standard note on all projects and is a standard requirement for all projects in the city of Nashua.
Okay, thank you. And then just one other comment, not necessarily something that was presented, but I know that I've heard from the public in the past about city equipment being stored over at the YMCA parking across from where the street department buildings are and so on. Will that equipment also be housed and moved over to this new location? Do you know if that's the intent?
Yeah, so I can't speak to every single piece of equipment that the city owns. Very clearly in what you've heard tonight, the city's goal is to get as much of the equipment that they have inside, especially in the winter months, as possible. Of course, we've heard from Alderman Dowd that really equipment stored inside will help dramatically increase the longevity of this equipment. And so the goal is to get as much of it inside the building and consolidate it onto this site as possible.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Clee. Other members of the board? Okay. All right. Seeing none at this time, thank you for the presentation. At this time, I would like to open it up to the public. If there are any members of the public that would like to speak with concern or opposition, please come right up and just identify yourself for the record.
Good evening. My name is Paula Johnson. I'm the new alderman for Ward 5. And I have some concerns about this project, and I've been very clear about it for a long time. When they talked about Wellesley Road, I happen to live there. I know the traffic. I know how bad it is there all the time. And I see how the trucks go up and down West Hollis Street. It is a total nightmare. And I need to be convinced that this project is going to be good for West Hollis Street, because we can't even get the West Hollis Street corridor up and running to try to eliminate some of this traffic. Right now, the majority of the trucks go to the barn on Riverside, and they're repaired there. A lot of the other trucks, you know, for the landfill go up West Hollis Street. But there's a stopping point on where all the trucks are going. They don't all go up to the landfill right now, because the barn is down at Riverside. When you look at the amount of traffic on West Hollis Street, and I listened to my two colleagues, Ward 2 and Ward 7, they don't live in that area. So I cannot be an expert in Ward 2 or Ward 7 on what's going on. I've tried to obtain information over the last several days so I could be more prepared tonight. And seeing all this, considering I'm the new alderman and I'm trying to take over, I mean, it's going to be hard for me to step in my former alderman's shoes, but this is my concern. And people have to understand that this is a very big, intense project. It is a big roadway over there. And how much information does the public really have? We're going to build this big landfill there. And so I'm listening about the abutters. Yep, no one can see, people can see the administration building from West Hollis Street. You can't really see the landfill. It's not so much West Hollis Street. What about the other abutters that are about 500 feet and 700 feet away? If you take down all the trees that separate, then they're going to be able to see the landfill. So what is going to be the plan for the abutters on that side? I'd like to see that. And I think the people who live over there have that right to know what is it going to look like as that landfill, those buildings for the new garage is going to be built. Because if you have a home there and they take away all your buffer zone, how would you feel? And now you have a big landfill. I know what happened with the McCarthy School. The residents weren't supposed to see it, and they see the big school there. My other concern is, like, no offense to everybody here on the planning board, but, you know, we have the charter school, which is a great school, but nobody planned for that charter school because when they drop off the kids in the morning, they pick them up, there's no light there. And I even said to the board, why don't we let the school control the flow of traffic at the beginning in the morning, at the end of the morning? That's a hazardous area right over there at that school. Nobody listens. And so we're going to propose this. I don't really see, I hear the traffic plans, I hear what they're talking about, but you know what? I live there. And there's a lot of people that live on West Hollis Street that complained at the West Hollis Street corridor meeting, and nothing has been done at this point in time because the city doesn't have any money. And so, you know what? I think Ward 5 has been neglected long enough, and now you're putting you're moving one big area to the landfill, which is crowded all the time on the weekend and during the week. And you don't realize the big trucks that come in there from different companies to dump their load over there. So it's not just, well, it's the morning. It's not going to bother anything in the morning. It is a very busy street all the time. And I'll be more than happy to be out there counting the traffic every day. So I hope you're going to consider that if this plan is going to go through, that you're going to have some contingency plans, and we're going to do something about the traffic on West Hollis Street, because this can't go unless we start fixing what's wrong with West Hollis Street, because this is going to be a nightmare as we go along. So I'm not concerned about the spaces for the parking.
I'm sorry,
Sure.
Alderman, we may have a medical. Sir,
Okay.
is he okay? Yep. Okay. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Attorney Perlman. My apologies for cutting you
Oh,
off.
that's
I just
okay.
wanted to
Oh,
make
no,
sure
if
it
we
was
have a
okay.
medical, then we
Okay.
need to
All
take
right.
care of, that's more important than my speaking here. I know that you talked about that this has nothing to do with Teak Drive, but it kind of circles around to Teak Drive with everything here, with the fire department, because you're moving one thing, you're adding one thing, and then you're moving something else over. So, you know, I'm hoping that I will be kept more involved and abreast of this situation, and I hope that before anything is really voted on, because the board hasn't even gotten the information. I believe we're getting it on Tuesday. I kind of feel you're putting the cart before the horse here. Before I at least get all the information so I can be brought up to speed on what exactly this is going to entail and what I can do to represent my constituents in Ward 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other member of the public that would like to speak with concern or opposition? Please identify yourself for the record, sir.
Yes, I am Rodi Arantes from 3 Jalori Lane. And there are a couple of concerns that I have, mainly about the bringing of all the different departments from the Department of Public Works into that same site. And it seems like they're always focusing on bringing everything to the same site because they want to make things more efficient. But at the same time, they are just clogging up that whole area, which was actually defined as an area for use for the landfill. It's now being filled in by lots of buildings. We're going to be using quite a bit of the land space there for new buildings. So that's my one concern, first concern. I was also wondering, because of the other proposal, which was for the Teak side, the road was not approved, which means that the fire department is also going to be using this entrance. What are the plans for the road, the building of the road to support that? Is that part of this project? Because that's part of the landfill infrastructure. And they're adding about 150 parking spots, right? So let's say a few of those are going to be oversized. You lose a few spots here and there. Half of those spots are used for, so let's say you lose about 30 spots, leaving you with about 120. Let's say 60 of those are used for summer, 60 for winter. That's about 60 heavy trucks going in and out of that location on a daily basis, servicing the area. We see, I live right next to it on the same ward, maybe about 5 minutes away from there. Whenever I need to go to the dump to throw my trash away, there's always a line of cars waiting already there. So adding all that additional traffic, and as you back into West Hollis Street, the traffic line gets so long that it blocks the actual one-way road that is there. So even having an additional entrance specific for the trucks, if the trucks can't get there, that already eliminates the actual benefit of having that separate entrance for the trucks because they can't even get to it. So, you know, that is definitely a huge issue there. There's just not enough space to widen the road to make more room for a second lane there for trucks to be able to drive through next to the cars that are waiting to make it to the landfill. I just wanted to make a quick comment about the 50 decibels. That is about the sound of a quiet refrigerator running, which we are all aware that, you know, that is not, a truck is not going to make that sound. It's louder, and if they were, you know, actually putting the proper numbers rather than using just templates and putting that in every single project, they should actually put proper numbers there so that you can have proper information to make your decisions on. Also, Pacific Boulevard, which is on the bottom left, southwest of that location. If you drive down Pacific Boulevard, it's a small road. It's next to the entrance where the proposed entrance for the trucks are going to be. That is very close to it. You can actually see the site where they're going to be building. That is probably, I would say, less than 100 feet away from the actual place where they're going to be building. You can actually see through the road. I was there a couple of days ago because of one of the signs that they put for Teak Drive there, and I saw the site, and it's very close. So they're going to be seeing that right across their point of view from any of the houses of the abutters that are on the end of that road on Pacific Boulevard. And I think that's all I have. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Other members of the public that would like to speak with opposition or with concern? Okay. Seeing none at this time?
Chair, I just want to check Zoom real quick. Does not appear that anyone at Zoom is looking to speak.
Okay. Thank you for checking, Connor.
Yep.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in support of this project? Seeing none. All right, one last chance for the board. Questions of the applicant's team?
For rebuttal, or?
Oh, yeah. Yep. All right. Attorney Perlman or Ethan, if you'd like to respond to anything that was raised, please go right ahead.
Yeah, I'll respond to a couple of quick ones and then have Attorney Perlman perhaps respond to a couple of the other ones. I did try to take notes as we were going through. We'll respond to some of the traffic ones in a second. Sorry, I'm just reading through my notes. Specifically, with locating the project, locating all the departments on one site, I don't think there's any question in some operational efficiencies. Really, there's some cost effectiveness to building one large garage compared to several garages scattered through the city. In terms of the number of parking spaces being added, I do want to be clear, employee parking, so people driving their own personal vehicles to the site for employees, we're adding about 80 parking spaces to the site. That is non-inclusive of course, the equipment and oversized parking spaces that are in the building. All portions of that traffic and portions of those vehicles are currently stored on the site. But it was unclear to me if the 150 parking spaces was in reference to employee parking. Some of that employee parking already exists on the site, or some of the equipment pieces. In terms of the noise, just to be clear, in my previous response to Alderman Klee's question, we're not claiming that the site produces 50 decibels. That is a standard requirement in the city of Nashua that you must abide by for HVAC and other mechanical appurtenances on the site. And so it is simply putting that number on all of the plans because that is a requirement for every single site. We're not claiming that we had a noise study done and we're that's the number that we're claiming we're producing. That is the city requirement for the site. In terms of Pacific Boulevard, yes, it is a dead-end road that basically abuts into the property boundary. That is located really on the southern side of the development. You heard me reference a couple of distances from the building to the nearest abutters, the nearest dwellings. It wasn't specific to the overall site. As I also had mentioned, we're about holding, give or take, about 100-foot vegetated buffer on our portion of the site to the nearest property boundary, so not necessarily to the nearest dwelling. And the numbers presented in my presentation were from the building to the nearest dwelling as well. At this point in time, I think I'll have some of the other team members respond to some of the other concerns.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
It's Dan Hudson, city engineer. It's my birthday. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to speak, get up and address some of the traffic issues that were raised. Steve Haas did a good job of describing the study that's been done, kind of the basis for the additional traffic that will be coming to the site. However, there's some prevailing background traffic issues, which Alderman Johnson spoke to, that we're well aware of and the city is working towards addressing. The West Hollow Street is a reasonably busy corridor. The challenge is turning left out of lots of drivers along the corridor, and that's not different than a lot of corridors. Just the number of cars going through and being spaced out. It's hard to turn left out of driveways, and that's a reality. But it's not something that's necessarily easily fixed without some more substantive changes. We've been engaged in a corridor study, studying that whole corridor and what things we could do. We've had public meetings as part of that corridor study process. We heard a lot of public testimony with frustration about lefts out, but mostly about concerns about safety along the corridor. From what we've seen, we view that largely due to vehicle speeds, which has become a problem in lots of corridors and roadways throughout the city and state. People seem to be driving too fast, not paying attention, those sorts of things. So we've been working on plans for traffic calming and things like that that we could do along the corridor. But to do those in a comprehensive way, it's a bigger project. Not something that can be addressed by this project or within the city's prevailing funding. Excuse me. We have done a few things on the corridor. We've installed camera detection at the West Hollis Riverside intersection. Very busy intersection due to the school down the street. That will prove to process traffic better. We've seen that everywhere we've installed those cameras. We've installed school zone signs with radar feed speedback at the charter school. Again, that was an area of focus because the charter school and their traffic and wanting to calm traffic through there. So those are recently installed. Although the charter school didn't install a signal when they came through with their site, we did work with them, and they completely reconfigured their whole site, setting it up so that it will be suitable to put a signal there in the future. That was at our request. They did a study of that area in conjunction with the Wellesley West Hollis intersection. We kind of envision a combined signal there, so those two intersections which are in close proximity to each other can work together seamlessly. So we do envision a expansion of that Wellesley signal to include that charter school driveway. But again, that requires funding. That's a future project that just we haven't been successful in budgeting yet. We have been seeking funding. We've been applying for grants. We submitted a grant application to the 10-year, as part of the 10-year plan process with DOT. Working with DOT, those projects are favorable for the city. Usually there's 80% federal funding and the city kicks in 20%, and so those are successful programs. But the 10-year plan this year is fairly confined. The city's in a bit of a budget crunch, and so the scale of the project that we'd like to do out here on West Hall Street just didn't fit into their plans. We also applied for a direct federal grant through the Safe Streets for All program, and unfortunately, we're not successful in getting selected for that. In fact, no implementation grants were selected in New England other than a couple in Rhode Island. There's some planning grants that got awarded in New Hampshire and other places, but nothing, no implementation or actual construction projects. So long story short, the city is aware of the problems out there. We're working towards them. They're not quick fixes, but we're certainly not ignoring them, and we are listening to people, and we are doing what we can. Relative to queuing that was raised at the driveway, again, the arrivals and departures of staff, I mean, everybody comes, punches in at the same time, punches out at the same time at the end of the day. Those times don't align with the peak times for the landfill. In fact, a morning arrival is before the landfill even opens. So in terms of queuing, getting into the landfill and that combining with this traffic, that just isn't going to happen that way. There is some queuing on the corridor. Everybody, you know, we wish people would stay home till landfill's open. Some people don't. They come out and they stack up in the left turn lane on West Hollow Street waiting to get into the landfill. Favorably, West Hollow Street is wide enough there that there is an ability for that stacking to occur. Usually 8 o'clock comes, landfill opens, and that clears out in a reasonably short time. And then in the landfill itself, we've got a new scale. We're continually trying to keep people moving and process traffic to keep everything flowing. I think those are the highlights that I wanted to address. The fire training was brought up. Again, it's a separate project. We are working. We're going to be going back to zoning board to talk more about it. We had proposed a driveway over there, but it was only for fire training. It wasn't anything to do with landfill. But that, in the discussions there, that was rejected. So now we're back. We're only talking about installing a water line off Teak. So it's just a water line, no driveway, no access to even that through the site. Fire training facility is already on site, so in terms of traffic, there's no change. They're moving from one portion of the site to another portion of the site. There's no change related to moving them from their current location to a different location on site. So with that, I'd be happy to address any questions, but I figured I would offer those things for the board's information.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hudson. Questions from the board? Alderman Klee, please.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if Mr. Hudson could answer this. In the previous presentation, it talked about the potential for a signal there by the landfill or so on. And it said that it didn't warrant it, and I understand warranting and so on. Question I have is, if for some reason they would put something in that, would that create more issues of more backups and so on?
No,
with the potential of other lights that are going to be put
No, it's a good question. As Steve Haas explained, the majority of turns to the site, it's about 85%, are left turns into the site and right turns out. The hard part is to make left turns on the corridor. So turning right out, which the majority of the traffic does, that happens, you know, currently under a stop sign control. Putting a signal there wouldn't help. They still would turn right on red. It's really no benefit, right? The idea of the signal there would be to platoon traffic, so you would periodically stop West Hall Street flow, and then that would create more gaps in the traffic stream on West Hall Street. But I don't know that the landfill is maybe the best location for that, just because, like I said, because of the way that traffic turns. I mean, the only time traffic would be stopping on West Hall is when the left turn will be going into the landfill. Currently, that operation functions at like a level service A. So again, really, a signal's not going to benefit or is not really going to be needed for that. So I think it would provide a kind of limited platooning effect, which would be the desired effect, I guess, to improve operations at other intersections along the corridor. You know, we've talked about other ideas. We talked about roundabouts. Again, those process traffic well, but they don't really create the platooning. So I don't know. Yeah, at this time, we don't think a signal, well, it's not warranted, and also we just don't think it would provide enough benefit at this point in time to warrant the expense of it or anything else.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. All right.
Mr. Chairman, members, Andy Perlman again. You'll be happy to know that we're done. That was a long presentation. We apologize for the time. We believe we meet the CUP criteria of 133F. We believe we meet the site plan criteria of 146D, and we ask for your approval tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this point, I'm going to close the public hearing, go into our public meeting. I personally think there's been a lot of due diligence that's been put into this. In terms of the traffic, I think both Mr. Haas and Mr. Hudson have addressed it to the extent possible. Obviously, I think there's larger issues with West Hollis Street. I think everybody on this board is aware, and I'm sure the residents of that area are aware. In terms of concentrating everything in a central facility, I guess as a Nashua High alum and somebody who had kids go through there, I think moving large commercial vehicles away from a school is better, and I don't think that's redistributing a problem, but I think there's a lot going on in the Riverside area right now, and if there's an opportunity here to have a modern facility that is able to service other commercial fleet vehicles for the city, I would personally be in favor of it, but I'd love to hear feedback from other members of the board if you have any other strong thoughts one way or the other. Mr. Barley.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. I mean, I would largely echo your thoughts. First of all, thank you to all the representatives for a very thorough presentation. I mean, you didn't see a whole lot of questions, and I think it's because you really addressed a lot of those questions up front in the presentation. The plan seems very well designed. The justification for it, the benefits to the city from it, it makes a lot of sense to me. I do think the one sort of overriding concern that we heard, as you suggested, Mr. Chairman, was the traffic concern. This is something we see in other areas of the city too. Spitbrook Road, DW Highway, right where we've got incremental additions to traffic. I I heard the traffic engineer indicate that the trips generated here are approximately 3 or 4% of the total volume on West Hollis Street. So that gives you a sense that this is truly incremental. And I also think it's helpful to understand that these aren't truly new trips. We're kind of moving the trips at a different place along this corridor. And I think some of the other factors here in terms of the sort of off-peak nature of this, help alleviate some, the residual traffic concerns you might otherwise have. So from my perspective, it seems to be that, the benefits of this project outweigh what I see as sort of, maybe the marginal concerns around traffic and similar issues. And I think the project's been, well designed to really minimize the impact on abutters as well.
Thank you, Mr. Barley. Alderman Clee?
Thank you. Maybe first off, I want to say that I think the benefits to this plan are extremely important, and but we also have to look at the impact on those that live right there. There is going to be an impact on it. We can't hide that. Technically, maybe there's no what we call new trips that are in the area, but they're new trips to that specific area because they're coming from that and so on. But having said that, I still believe that the benefits of having everybody in one location is important. Like one of my colleagues actually had spoken about visiting the street department and so on. We really do need to get those personnel out of there. I said the same thing when we were changing the landfill when they were in those trailers. I've said the same thing about other things. So when I look at the different aspects of it, I look at putting everybody together where we can be more efficient and work better together, and communication becomes so much better. And I think it was even stated by some of the speakers out there that had basically said that other DPWs have done similar things. So I am for this project, but I don't want to minimize what the residents have spoken. Again, one of my colleagues who lives in that area and is going to know that area better than we are, she experiences this on a day-to-day basis, so we can't minimize that. And I'm glad that Engineer Hudson had talked about the West Hollis project. And I've been an alderman now for 8 years, and I think probably 3 or 4 of those years we've been speaking about this project. I know things take a long time. I can say firsthand because of the Locke and Whitney Street project that was when I first started, and it's still not quite off the ground yet. So I know it takes a long time and it takes a lot of money, but I think the conversation needs to happen. That is really kind of outside in some respects of this, because it's not just this one area, it's the entire length of West Hollis, and I want that conversation to continue going. I want public hearings to continue to happen, but I do believe that as a whole, this does outweigh, the concerns. I still hope that, if necessary, maybe a street light or a traffic light, I should say, could be put there that only gets triggered when there's someone that's going to be taking a left. I personally have sat there in queue for a long time. I feel like I live at the landfill these days. Since my husband passed, I'm cleaning out more things than I knew I had. Anyways, I am for this, but I don't want to minimize the concerns that these residents have had, whether it be 1 or whether it be 20. They are real, and I have driven on that road quite often as I do go to landfill. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Other members of the board? Cam, please.
Yeah, I'd just like to say the SIL team did a great job of minimizing the impact of this building, of the type of operations they're doing in size, and getting the height down to something that's much more manageable. So, and keeping the tree line around a lot of the major residential areas, from what I see, it's a really good design.
Okay. Thank you. Other members of the board? All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's feedback. I guess from a procedural perspective, I personally didn't have any major issues with the waiver requests. I think particularly the ones related to parking in the context of this type of facility, I wouldn't have an issue supporting that. So I think the way as this is sort of written up in the staff report, we would probably want to grant the waivers first, and if those were favorable, then move upon to the CUP approval, and then the site plan approval would be the last step. With that said, are we at a point where a member of the board would be willing to make a motion with respect to the 6 waivers that are requested? Mr. Varley? Oh, yes,
Mr. Chair,
please.
I wanted to ask staff, in the sequence you described, staff agree that we should waivers before CUP? Okay. And I'd then be happy to offer a motion.
No, it was a good question. Thank you for checking. Yes, Mr. Varley, please go right ahead.
All right. So, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve the 6 waivers that the applicant has requested and that are described in the staff report, namely a waiver from 190-279B with respect to bearings and distances on the plan, 190-279EE regarding showing existing conditions on adjacent parcels, 190-184D with respect to the requirement that parking aisles not contain 10 spaces without a median or island, 190-184B with respect to parking lots requiring raised islands, 190-272 seeking a waiver of to produce a site plan in the 22/34 format, and finally 190-172 to waive certain architectural design standards for non-residential buildings. And the motion to approve or grant those waivers would be a finding that with a finding that in each case, strict conformity would pose an unnecessary hardship, and that based on the specific circumstances and conditions here, granting the waivers would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Varley. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Clee. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Mr. Varley, would you like to continue with the conditional use permit?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. So as to new business A25-0164, which is the conditional use permit, I would like to make a motion to approve that application, finding that the application does meet the the approval criteria outlined in NRO Section 190-133F.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Varley. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Green. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Mr. Varley, if you would.
Yes, and then finally, to wrap it up, I would like to make a motion as to new business A25-0165, site plan. Again, that motion being to approve or to grant final approval of the site plan, that being with the finding that the application does meet the requirements in Section 190-146D, and that approval will include the subsequent conditions described in the staff report A through G.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Varley. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Hirsch. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would anyone care to take a quick 5-10 minute?
Yes.
Little respite? All right, very good. We are going to take a brief recess here, 8:36. We'll try to meet back in about 5-10 minutes or so. So, thank you. You guys had the opportunity to grill Dan and you didn't do it.
Hey, it's his birthday. We're taking it easy.
So we're giving him special treatment because it's his birthday?
I guess so.
from El Paso, Texas, yeah. Yeah, I just fell in love with a Bostonian, or a Massachusettsite, I guess. Yeah, my wife is from Western Mass. And she was living in New York City when I met her, so initially I moved in with her and we were living in New York, and we lived in New Jersey for a while. And then the baby came along and we needed help with the family, you know, or help from the family and the in-laws. We moved for the south, yeah. So,
That's often.
yeah, absolutely.
But it's not, I mean, it's nice having family, especially when the kids are
Oh,
around.
Yeah, so we do 3 days of daycare currently, and then, you know, my in-laws help out, you know, 1 day a week each, respectively, so that really helps out.
Business here, things coming in.
Yeah, and I'm really happy with New Hampshire, too. I'm happy with where we landed. You know, it's a really great state. It's really well run, in my opinion, so those are the really high marks on education, and, you know, family upbringing, and all that kind of stuff, so it's...
Yeah, no, I mean, I was happy. My wife is born and raised in Nashville, so it's kind of, but I'm from upstate New York, so not. So it's a fairly similar vibe.
Right.
You know, it's that part of New York.
We're also going to be getting something
Similar to New England. But yeah, I mean, New Hampshire's got a lot of things.
I agree.
Harbor Avenue.
Definitely.
Quick admin question.
Yeah.
Since we got through this, let's go.
Yeah, it's
Sam had mentioned it, but all
Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff coming in, but it's not ready yet.
extensions. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think that these, like,
I don't think, I will say my play by ear, but I prefer just to get through Cortland.
Yeah, they don't seem like they're gonna be like.
No, I would agree, so.
So
No, I just wanted to, just, yeah, let it go. Okay, gotcha.
I mean, we can always, if things go off the rails, we can always come back to that, you know, say,
Yeah, well, because I think YMCA and Greenhouse are the same engineers, they're gonna be regardless, so, yeah, I'm good. Oh, we're missing somebody. Ben, you might need to say that. No.
They're expanding.
All right, we got everybody back?
Thank you.
All right, we are back at 8:42. I don't know if that needs another knock, but better safe than sorry, Larry. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda. Under new business conditional use permit, case 825-0213, property located at 36 through 38 Cortlandt Street. If the board were so inclined, we could also hear at the same time case 825-0212, same property, and that would be under new business subdivision plans. Has any member of the board had an opportunity to review those applications, is willing to make a motion regarding their completeness, and whether or not the board should accept jurisdiction? Oh, I saw Larry first, so.
Move to take jurisdiction.
Motion by Mr. Hirsch. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Green. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And I would like to state Mr. Hudson has rejoined the board as a voting member, so. All right, if there's a representative here for that application, certainly, come right up, identify yourself for the record, and give us a little overview, please.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for seeing us. My name is Gal Peretz. This is my partner.
Toby Capello.
We buy this property a year and a half ago, roughly. A year ago, we go to the town, 14 months ago, we go to the town, we tell them what we plan to do. The town, every department that we talk, planning, they told us that if we go in for 5 family, because it was a 5 family to 4 condo, we don't need to get your approval. This is why we come to you when everything is done and ready to go to the state to register it. And we have already 1 unit under agreement, need to close next week. So it's kind of catch us not ready to do it, but we did it. And the story behind it, this is a 5-family that was vacant, most of it, for a long time, standing with plywood, no siding. There was one tenant when we buy it. He was moving like a month after we closed. We know he's moving. The place was in bad. There was fire. The old owner was trying to fix it. And when we start working with the town, we find out we have to rip up everything and do it from everything. So the 2 unit in the back is brand new construction. We have to take everything and rebuild it. And then we decide to change the whole layout of the existing building, of the other 2 units in the building. We don't change any footprint of the building. We left it as it is. We have a 4-car garage, so everything was working to be perfect for a 4-unit. And the location in the north end, we have single family next to us, so and some multi. So it was, looked like and the town told us it's not going to be a problem. So we spend much more money than we plan, like we do, but because we find, I think we did it in really good for the neighborhood. We update, we put new water line, we do new driveway, all the outside got new landscaping. I think it benefit the town now because now you're going to get 4 new owners that go and pay taxes instead of one multifamily that pay 1 tax. So I think the town going to be benefit. It's going to be less maybe crowded because it go from 5 to 4. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-unit, and 3-bedroom, the other 2 unit. They're like 1,500, the 2-bedroom, and then one is 1,000, and the other 2 is 1,200 square feet each. So they're not going to be a big, bring more than what was a tenancy before. Yeah, that's why we're here after everything done and not before. Nobody told us that we.
Okay. Have you reviewed the engineering letter from the city?
Yeah, everything got correct on the miler is there. Everything got correct. We did even the scope for the sewer line to the engineering. Everything that was asked, we did.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I lost my page here. Questions from the board at this time? Alderman Klee, please.
Not so much questions as just kind of comment, and to some respect, I do have one question, I apologize. How long had most of the been vacated before you purchased it? I mean, vacant before you purchased it? Are you aware?
Based on what I know, the 2 back unit was probably vacant. There was like, I think probably like from 2015 or 14.
Yeah, a very long time, yeah.
Yeah, and then the tenant that was living in the downstairs was there for a couple of years. And then the upstairs, I think the lady died like 2 years before we buy it.
So technically, it's been a vacant 5
Yeah,
unit
it was
apartment building.
No meter, no heat, no nothing, it was only one walk-in.
And may I?
Oh, please
So
continue.
your plan is your plan is to go with the 4 condominiums, but to not change the current footprint?
We don't change, we're
Right.
done, we keep everything the same.
There's also a building, if I'm not mistaken, behind
The
the
garage.
L-shaped one. Is it like a storage unit, is that what it is?
The garage, yeah.
Garage, and
We
that will remain as well? or-
Yeah, we put brand new roofing, siding, new doors, electric, everything got new for it.
I did drive by, and it looks much better than it had, so, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Certainly. Mr. Green, please.
Yeah, I just like to make a comment. I used to drive that way to work every single day. It looks much, much better than.
Yes.
Yeah, I think everybody come and tell us this. And we just finished one in 70 Concord, so I know it was single family, so I know a lot of people see this one, what we did. So we like this area, we want to make it better.
I had a quick question for Sam. Sam, did you care to provide a Reader's Digest version of just the context? This one's a little bit, it's not something we'd normally see, I guess. I've got no issues. I've read through the engineer's criteria for the CUP. Personally, I don't have any issues, but again, it's just a little unique from what we normally see with respect to the condo ownership, and I understand we'd still have to make the determination on regional impact, so that's not forgotten. So.
Certainly. So most condo projects that this board has seen have been in the context of site development as well. We have not seen, at least in my time here, any conversions of existing structures into condominium form of ownership. Under state statute, and our ordinance pays quite a bit of deference to the state statute as to how to treat this sort of an application. It is a subdivision under state statute. The conveyance of condominium is explicitly stated in the subdivision statute. So this application is effectively operating as a subdivision. It's creating new interest in land just as a traditional subdivision would. Unfortunately, our ordinance it lacks some clarity on process and stringing a couple of important pieces of ordinance together in terms of governing process around this. That's something that we are going to endeavor to fix, likely before the new code is adopted, but it's also being written into the new code. And I think this is not the last of these that we will see going forward.
Okay, very good. Thank you for the clarification. Other questions, Alderman Clee?
Thank you, and I don't know if this is the time for this question, but where this is going to become a subdivision, meaning separate, it's no longer one unit, it's multi-units. Will there be like a homeowners association? Is it still going to be public trash pickup as because it's all on Cortlandt Street? Or do you have dumpsters?
The association going to pay the water, the sewer, they have some electric, doing the plow, landscaping, and everything that they include in
the homeowners association?
Yeah. I think trash pickup will be the same as it was before, because it was thought family. It's like your house.
Right.
They're going to take the trash out, but the plow going to do the landscaping, everything else going to be.
And then if I may.
Certainly, continue.
Relative to, I know we always, the numberings of the buildings, will they get unique addresses?
So
because I look towards
we keep it
fire.
3638. The fire department told us to change it to be one, so it's going to be 36A, B, C, D.
Okay.
So it's going to be one address now, not two. Like
So it won't be 3638, it's just going to be 36
This
period.
was the fire, the 911.
Right,
So
the 911, yeah.
We changed it already on condo ducts and everything and the new plan.
Okay, that was what my question was, the 911, so thank you.
Thank you. Other questions from the board? All right, seeing none. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Just open it up to the public. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak in opposition or with concern to this application? Any members of the public that would like to speak in favor or support of this application? Seeing none. One last chance for the board. All right. Looks like a no, so we will close the public hearing. Going to our public meeting. I think other than, again, the conversion, the condo conversion, I don't think we would have otherwise seen this. I think the applicant served themselves well, that they're amenable to all the city conditions. So I don't know, this one to me seems pretty straightforward. I didn't have any issues. Obviously, the waiver request is the one we see fairly commonly. And again, having read through the CUP criteria prepared by their engineer, I think they've checked all the boxes with this one. So I think procedurally, we're going to more or less follow, if a board member were so inclined, same process as the last application, grant the waiver, grant the CUP, and then grant the final subdivision approval. But before we do that, collectively, we would probably need a motion to determine if this is a project of regional impact. So that might be the first order of business here. So I don't know if any member of the board is comfortable at this point. Mr. Hudson? Any comments?
Mr. Chair, I would move that the board have a finding that this is not a project of regional impact.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Hudson. Is there a second? Second, Mr. Green. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Hudson, since it's your birthday, would you like to follow through with the waiver motion, or should we? Would you like to pass?
I'm willing to try, yeah.
No, I know you generally don't make motions.
I don't.
I'm just joking.
I like to stay quiet, but that's hard for me.
You don't have to.
It's not my general nature, but I would move that the board favorably grant a waiver of 190-282B9 regarding the requirement to show all existing features within 1,000 feet of the subdivision boundaries. Finding that, in finding this, that the board is utilizing the criteria as specified in the staff report.
All right. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Klee. Any further discussion? I might just add, Mr. Hudson, just for.
You want me to go further?
Just for checking the box. I think we should explicitly state finding strict conformity would pose an unnecessary hardship.
Perfect.
And the waiver would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulation.
Thank you. I incorporate that in the motion.
All right. Thank you. Is there a second on the revised motion? Alderman Klee? All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Dan, we've put you on the spot enough.
Thank you.
You're welcome to continue if you'd like, but you're under no obligation. If you'd like to take on the CUP, or I'm sure we have other willing members that would be.
Yeah, I would defer to others.
Okay, very good. All right.
I returned from a vacation last night at about midnight, so appreciate the assistance.
All right, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Green, yes.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to grant the conditional use permit of 190-7 to allow the establishment of a 4-unit condominium at 3638 Cortlandt Street. Finding that they provided sufficient rationale in the CUP narrative submitted December 9th, 2025, and it meets the approval criteria detailed in 190-133-F.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Green. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Klee. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Green, would you like to continue?
I will keep going
All right.
and grant make a motion to grant the final subdivision approval for this residential conversion at 3638 Cortlandt Street, finding the application meets requirements outlined in 190-146D. Subject to following the subsequent conditions in the staff report A through D are sufficiently incorporated.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Green. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Hirsch. Any further discussion?
Unfortunately, I have a small discussion.
Oh, yes, please.
The engineering comments largely speak to the sewer service and the fact that we want that inspected. I'm pleased to hear that they've done the video. I don't know if we've had an opportunity to review it, that sort of thing. Having said that, and I don't think we need to amend the proposed condition, but I understand one unit is up for sale. I don't want to hang that up, while we're looking at the details. So, we'll work with planning staff and the applicant to kind of work through that. Maybe this first one we allow without having completed our review and all that sort of thing. But make sure we do that before all the units are, all the condominium units are sold. So I just want to clarify with the board that that's, we'll use a little latitude there to hopefully keep this thing moving.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hudson. Maybe quickly, I'll throw it to staff. Is planning staff comfortable with that? Okay. All right. All right. So there was a motion by Mr. Green. Mr. Hudson's comments are noted for the record, but we do not need to amend your motion. So we have a motion, we have a seconded motion. So I think if we're ready to vote, I would say all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
It's still my birthday.
Yes. You've still got 3 more hours.
All right. Next item on the agenda, case number 825-0203, property located at 114 Perimeter Road. Has any member of the board had an opportunity to review this application and is willing to make a motion regarding its completeness and whether or not the board should accept jurisdiction? Alderman Clee, please.
I think this meets jurisdiction, and we should accept.
Very good. Thank you. Motion by Alderman Clee. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Varley. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. If there's anyone here to speak on this application, sir, certainly come right up. And just identify yourself for the record and tell us a little bit about your project.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Rick Lindoff. So I currently rent some office space near the Nashua Airport, and one of the rooms in there, I'm looking to make a small single-chair barber shop. So I've been doing that for 3 decades now. I've owned businesses in the area, barbershops, and I'm in the process of selling those. So my goal is just simplify my life, single chair. I'm going to cut 2 days a week. That's about it.
All right. No physical changes to the space, just the existing
Paint on the wall and chair inside. That's it. Yep.
Gotcha. All right. And I saw there's no similar comments on the CUP with respect to engineering. So, taking a look through your CUP criteria form, I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary there. Yeah, I guess I'll toss it to the board. I don't have too much to add on this, but are there questions for the applicant at this time? No? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
You can probably grab a seat for a moment. I'll just open it up quickly. Are there any members of the public here with opposition, speak with concern or opposition? No? Any members of the public here to speak in favor of this application? All right, seeing none. Board, one last chance. We're good? All right. Thank you, sir. Close the public hearing, go into our public meeting. We got the heavy one out of the way first, the last couple of things. Sounds like the gentleman has a good plan. He knows what he's doing, Mr. Green.
Yeah, the airport area is like a mishmash of other things. This fits.
Totally agree. So, Alderman Clee?
Anytime we talk about hair salons and things like that, I have a tendency to get a little anxious about chemicals and so on, but where this is just a one-seat barbershop, I have no issues at all. I think it's not going to add any extra traffic. The area itself has traffic, so I see no issues with this.
All right. I appreciate everybody's thoughts and comments. Again, I think this one's fairly straightforward, so if any member of the board was willing to make a motion regarding granting the conditional use permit. Mr. Green?
I would like to make a motion for new business A25-0203 to grant the conditional use permit pursuant to 190-15, table 15, TAC 1, use number 35 to allow the establishment of a barbershop at 114 Perimeter Road, Unit D, in the airport industrial zone, finding that the applicant has provided sufficient rationale for the CUP narrative submitted November 25th, 2025, and it meets the approval criteria detailed in 190-133-F.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Green, is there a second? Second by Mr. Varley. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. All right. Moving along, under new business site plans, next item on the agenda, case 825-0205, property located at 170 Main Dunstable Road. Has any member of the board had an opportunity to review this application for completeness and is willing to make a motion regarding the board accepting jurisdiction? Alderman Clee.
I also will, on this, say that there were no exceptions, no issues, and I think we should accept
All right,
jurisdiction.
thank you. Motion by Alderman Clee. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Hirsch. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Come on up, Jim. All right.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Happy New Year and happy birthday, Dan. Was there another birthday today?
Sam.
Sam.
Sam, really? Okay. Good evening. Tonight I'm representing New England Performance Cars. For the record, Jim Petropoulos, professional engineer, IMEG, 3 Congress Street, Nashua, New Hampshire. And we're here this evening seeking a site plan approval for a couple small building additions to the Audi dealership site, formerly the Audi Nashua Porsche dealership, at Exit 5 here in Nashua. I'll be presenting the facts of the project and, of course, answer any questions you might have. As just read into the record, 170 Main Dunstable Road. This property is 6.581 acres in size, owned highway business. And per the plan, you can see we're abutted by the Everett to the west, Main Dunstable Road to the north, a veterinary facility to the east, and a single-family condo project to the south. Some of you may recall the Howard Johnson's Motor Inn and Restaurant, right, Larry?
Absolutely.
Fried clam strips, right? On this site for many, many years. In 2001, we appeared before this board to redevelop that site into the Porsche Audi dealership, and it's operated in that manner for about 24 years. As everybody, I think, knows, in 24 and 25, portion of the dealership moved over to the former Holiday Inn site on Northeastern Boulevard and built a magnificent facility there. And what it did is really freed up room for Audi to kind of spread its wings a little bit, get a little bit more site room, and it allow for some of these additions that I'm going to go over in just a second. Currently on the property right now, you see the various buildings, 2 buildings, total about 62,000 feet, 264 car spaces on the site. As we know, auto dealerships have a unique form of counting cars and parking space. It's a combination of display, employee parking, customer parking, service vehicles, things of that nature. What's being proposed this evening are really 4 building additions that enables Audi to transfer from a dual brand dealership into one dealership. On the south end of the site, next slide, please. Thanks, Connor. Next one, I guess. On the south end of the property, 2 very small building additions, one for a building entry, and the other is on the underside of a current underpass to an above building for a photo booth, about 1,000 square feet on the south side. Larger addition in the middle of the site, kind of infilling the gap in between the former Audi dealership and the Porsche dealership. That's a partial 2-story addition, totals about 6,800 square feet. And then the addition on the north side is really to the service end of Audi. Audi has, I think, 25 service bays on this campus right now. We're adding 5 new service bays to the site. Minimal impact to parking, as I said, with Porsche moving, all their display, all their customers, all their employees. Audi now feels like they have plenty of room to operate this dealership. 255 spaces, about 9 less than what's currently there, but well in conformance with Nashua regulations. Only minor site improvements, a little bit of sidewalk here and some utility service connections. We did do a traffic impact letter report worksheet, did not meet thresholds, very minor impacts in the AM, the PM peak, less than 30, and about 336 new trips over a 24-hour period. Did not meet the threshold of any further study. Architecturally, there is a graphic, I think, Connor, at the end of the scroll. Really simply stated, going to match the branding and the current architecture that's on campus right now. Flat roof, fixed glass windows, architectural metal panels, really kind of Audi branded signage on the property, and the pylon sign that exists is to remain. Mr. Chair, we've asked for 2 waivers, 190, 279, survey of adjacent parcels within 1,000 feet. I can't wait till that gets out of the land use code. Next one is the architectural standards. As you know, your current regs seek for pitched roofs and entry features. Just not applicable when we have additions such as this. We're really trying to match the architecture of the existing building. So 2 waivers in a letter dated 12/25. If successful, hope to start in the spring of '26, about a 6-month project to complete. In summary, we believe that the application conforms to the code. Conditions of approval as identified by staff are acceptable to us. One item I would like to mention, I goofed on this application, didn't put in a landscape plan. We owe that to staff, subject to their review and approval, and our client is fine with that. So we respectfully seek your approval this evening and happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. Questions from the board? All right, last go round. All right. Jim, thank you.
Yeah.
Quickly, is anyone in the public here to speak in opposition or with concern to this application? Anyone in the public here to speak in favor of this application? All right, Connor, no one on Zoom? All right. All right. Last chance? No. All right. Thank you, Jim. All right, we'll close the public hearing, go into our public meeting. This seems fairly benign to me. With the 2 waiver requests, obviously, the first we see quite a bit. The second one, I think, makes sense. This wouldn't be the first time. I understand also sometimes with national or international branding, I think we had some similar requests for the Ford dealership on Amherst Street. It just, plus it's fitting what's already there, so I wouldn't really have any issues with what they're asking there. Seems like we're going to get a subsequent landscaping plan. But beyond that, I think this is really going to remain largely what it already is. So, but I obviously would love to hear from the board. Alderman Klee.
Thank you. Just more on process. He commented that he hadn't submitted a landscape plan and that they would work. Do we need to put that when we make the motion? Do we need to add that that will be coming forward?
I think is.
Subsequent condition D.
D?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was just looking at to see if
Yeah.
it was there.
So that just make sure technical comments 5 are addressed.
It's, D says all conditions from the planning board decision letter will be added to the plan. Am I looking at something?
Listed in section 5 above.
Section
So
5.
in section 5.1, it talks about that landscaping plan.
Right.
It's necessary to determine whether the remaining landscaping on site is sufficient.
Okay.
Sam, is that how that reads?
Okay, yeah, I see it. I'm sorry, I had the wrong one pulled up. I apologize.
You're all good.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. No, good question, Alderman Klee. Thank you.
I was getting 206.
Any further discussion from the board? All right. No? All right. All righty. I guess what we should do, if a member of the board were so inclined, we'd want to deal with the waiver requests first. Any member of the board feel comfortable? Mr. Green, go right ahead.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for new business A25-0205 to grant the following waivers. 190-279E to waive the requirements showing existing conditions on adjacent parcels as appropriate, and 190-172 to waive certain architectural requirements for non-residential buildings, finding that strict conformity would impose unnecessary hardship to the applicant, and the waivers would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations for this specific parcel, and carry out the proper spirit and intent of the regulations. We're also considering the rationale provided by the applicant in the waiver request letter dated November 26, 2025.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Green. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Hirsch. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Oh, wait.
Oh, we got more.
We didn't vote on your site plan yet, Jim.
Oh, it's late.
Wait, or maybe
First one took
maybe
it out.
we won't. No. No.
He didn't really want it.
No, that's, all right.
I'm gonna-
Mr. Green, if you'd like to continue.
I shall. I'll also make a motion to grant the final site
Just
plan
the waivers.
approval on the expansion of the auto dealership located on 170 Main Dunstable Road and its associated site improvements, finding the application meets the requirements outlined in 190-146D, and subject to the following subsequent conditions listed in the staff report A through K.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Green. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Varley. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Now you can go, Jim. All right, all right.
Go forth, Julie.
Thank you. See you guys.
All right. Next item on the agenda, under new business site plans, case E25-0206, applicant City of Nashua, property located at 107 Amherst Street. Has any member of the board had an opportunity to review this application for completeness and is willing to make a motion regarding board accepting jurisdiction? Mr. Varley.
Mr. Chair, as to A25-0206, I would make a motion that the application is complete and ready for the board to accept jurisdiction.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Varley. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Clee. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, board has jurisdiction. Mr. Beals, you're up again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'll do my best to shave maybe a couple minutes off my last presentation time and try to get out of here before midnight. For the record, Ethan Beals, project manager at Hayner Swanson, doing business at 3 Congress Street here in Nashua, New Hampshire. Here tonight representing Edgewood Cemetery. Also with me tonight is Ken Lennox, Edgewood Cemetery Superintendent, Caroline Morell with Randall Paulson Architects, the project's architect, and Tom Maffey, President of the Board of Trustees for Edgewood Cemetery. The chair's permission, I'd like to present the facts of the case and then would be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Go right ahead.
The existing site is one of the several cemeteries located here in the city of Nashua and is located at 107 Amherst Street. It is known to the City of Nashua Assessor's Office as map 60, lot 14. The site's located in the RA, A Urban Residence Zoning District. The site measures about 32.2 acres in size, is abutted by Forest Street, Ashland Street, and Edgewood Ave to the north, Adams Street to the east, Cushing Ave to the south, and ultimately Amherst Street to the west. Accordingly, the site is primarily abutted by residential uses to all sides, with some additional commercial, office, and restaurant uses along Amherst Street. As previously mentioned, the subject site is currently developed as an active cemetery. It contains a chapel, 2 garage buildings, 2 greenhouses, an office, shed, and other associated site features. Topography in the site can generally be classified as moderate, generally sloping from a high point in the northeast corner of the property along Ashland Street, generally in a southern direction towards Cushing Ave. Access to the site's several internal roadways are provided via 4 curb cuts, one onto Ashland Street, one onto Amherst Street, and 2 onto Cushing Avenue. The existing building is serviced by a private septic system, water by Pennachuck Waterworks, private propane, and underground electric and telecommunication utilities. Currently, cemetery operations are spread across the 2 garages, shed, and office building, all of which have reached the end of their usable life, and it's not really viable or cost-effective to try to renovate the existing structures. As such, it is proposed to demolish the existing buildings and construct a new 1-story building and detached greenhouse. The proposed building will have a footprint of about 4,583 square feet. The rear portion of the building will contain a large garage for the storage and maintenance of the cemetery's trucks and equipment, much smaller than my last garage. The front of the building will contain a break room, waiting area, and vestibule, and office space for cemetery operations. Additionally, a new 2,500 square foot greenhouse will be constructed adjacent to the garage and office building. A small 8-space parking area will be constructed in the front of the proposed building, primarily to service any visitors to the site. Employees will continue to park in the back of the building, and the existing internal roadways will all be maintained in their current location, and the proposed parking areas and rear truck court area will tie into these existing roadways. In terms of traffic, the project is really a replacement in kind of the existing structures on the site. As a result, this new building will not create an increase in staffing levels beyond the 5 full-time employees and the 5 summer seasonal employees that work out of Edgewood Cemetery today. Therefore, the proposed project will not generate any additional traffic to the site. At this point, I'm going to call up Caroline Morell from Randall Paulson's Architect to spend a couple minutes to talk a little bit about the building design. We also have some physical copies that we'll hand out to the board, if that's okay.
Good evening, Happy New Year, happy birthday. Caroline Morell with Randall Paulson Architect, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the building in its massing and materials. So we can start with the floor plan, and the main goal here is to reconcile the 2 different uses that Ethan explained in a single cohesive building. So in the back, we are hosting equipment maintenance. So the goal is to be utilitarian, practical, durable, efficient, and it requires a high bay. In the front, on the other hand, we have the office and the staff quarters, and that leads us to provide something that is more welcoming, warm, and also very respectful of the grieving families who come and visit. So then when we go to the second page and we look at the response we're proposing in terms of massing, material, and color scheme, you can see that in the front, we are proposing a more human scale, kind of a residential type of scale approach with 2 wings framing the entrance, kind of, open arms welcoming the visitors. In the back, however, you can fairly easily identify a garage, and this helps to have no confusion for a visitor who may access the building from one of the several roads. In terms of material, the guiding principle for the trustees here is durability, low maintenance. So the main materials are CMUs and metal sidings. But again, we want to anchor back to the uses. And so it means that in the front, we're tempering the metal panels as to actually look like board and battens. We're offering a masonry base that is very reminiscent also of something that is a bit more residential, and also typical standing seam roofing, also fairly typical of residential. In the back, however, because we want to be efficient and durable, we're raising the base of the CMU higher, and these are insulated CMUs, And then above that, we have insulated metal panels and insulated metal panels for the roof as well. Then in terms of color scheme, we want to remain in a natural type of color scheme, very neutral. And the idea is to be very much in dialogue with the granite chapel that Ethan mentioned, and also just the general use of granite around the tombstones in the cemetery. In addition, it is our intent to remain very attached to typical buildings in New England, and to be in rapport with whatever is happening around in terms of the neighborhoods and the residential. In terms of sustainability, you will see that we're offering, especially in the back, and you heard the architect for the previous DPW talk about that as well, translucent panels, both at the walls and at the skylights to help with daylight. And all the materials and insulation are there to provide an energy and efficient building and pretty tight building.
Thank you.
In terms of utilities, Cushing Ave was slated to be paved this past summer in 2025. And as such, we were actually able to stub new water and gas service utilities into the site to avoid the pavement moratorium. Both water and gas services will then be extended about 500 feet down the internal roadway known as Border Ave to service the new building. Additionally, the proposed building will be serviced by underground electric and telecommunication utilities in a new private individual sewage disposal or septic system. And finally, the existing well will remain in place and be used for irrigation, both for the greenhouse and in the larger cemetery. In terms of stormwater, a surface infiltration practice is proposed adjacent to the proposed building. This practice looks to take advantage of the deep sandy soils on the site to promote infiltration of stormwater runoff back into the ground. This practice provides both formal quantitative and qualitative treatment of runoff on a site that really does not have any today. Site lighting plan was provided. Lighting includes wall packs around the exterior of the building. All of the wall packs will be fully cut off, downcast fixtures to minimize light spillover onto abutting lots and onto the rest of the cemetery. A site landscaping plan was included in the site plan. An effort was made to protect as many of the large existing mature trees that currently exist on the site. Additionally, there are several plantings proposed to buffer the building from the adjacent cemetery areas and some planted beds in front of the building. We are seeking 3 waivers from the National Land Use Code. I'll ask the letter be incorporated in the record by reference, and I'll briefly summarize. Waiver request 1 is of 190-279B, which requires bearing and distances on all the property lines. The proposed project takes place on about 1.2 acres of a site that is about 33.2 acres in size, providing a detailed boundary survey when the nearest boundary line is in excess of 275 feet away from the development would add significant cost to this project at no real benefit to the public. Second waiver request is of 190-279E, requiring existing conditions on the entirety of the subject lot and on abutting lots. Again, a common waiver request that the board hears. And finally, waiver request 3 is of 190-172, which is the non-residential building design standard. As Caroline just mentioned, great care and thought has gone into making this proposed building architecturally pleasing, tasteful, and visually appealing really to any of the grieving families that visit the site, unfortunately. That said, while we do believe that we meet a lot of the sections of this regulation, there are maybe a couple that we do not strictly comply with given the rear maintenance garage portion of the building. It's our opinion that we actually meet the spirit and intent of this regulation by providing a visually appealing building while still being cost effective and using industry standard building techniques and materials. One thing I do want to point out is that the Edgewood Cemetery trustees are paying for the entirety of this project, and so tax dollars will not be used as part of the project. In summary, we believe our site plan conforms to the City of Nashua Land Use Code. We have reviewed the staff report and are in agreement with staff's recommended conditions of approval. On behalf of myself, Ken, Caroline, or Tom, we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right. Thank you. Alderman Clee, please.
Thank you. Truthfully, my only real concern, and I probably should wait to hear from the public, are the back of the building where the garages are. Is that facing Adam Street?
It would be, yeah. Correct.
So as they would drive, is there a buffer? I remember a number of years ago when all those trees were accidentally taken down, and there were some replantings and so on, but is there a buffer, or are the neighbors going to just see this garage?
So a couple things. I have heard about the trees being removed from the property. I think a lot of those trees were much closer to the surrounding abutting properties.
They were, yeah.
This project, well, I can't say it's in the dead center of the 33-acre site. It's relatively centralized. We're over 270 feet away from Adam Street. So again, there's still a pretty good just distance-wise there. And again, Adam Street, there is no properties on our side of Adam Street. We really abut right to Adam Street. That said, there is a wooded hill behind the building. Additionally, behind the proposed building, there's kind of their exterior storage area where the cemetery stores earth materials and other pieces that they may use. All that to say, I would submit that there is a good buffer in that there will be minimally viewed, if a truck is pulling out of the garage with its headlights on, it would be very difficult for those headlights to really reach one of the abutting properties.
Just one more question.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. This is basically going in where the current building is correct?
Exactly.
But it's going to be a larger building, pushing more towards Adam Street, is that correct?
No, I would say it's the overall footprint is almost identical to what we have today. We're constrained on several sides by the existing internal roadways and driveways, and we're not changing any of that traffic movement. So those internal roadways are staying exactly where they are as basically the outer perimeter of our subject property, subject project area, excuse me.
Okay, thank you.
Other members of the board? Please, Ben. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to note that I think the visitor parking addition is going to be a big improvement. Usually when visitors come to the cemetery, I walk through the cemetery pretty frequently. Cars just parking on the avenues throughout the cemetery, it can create, obstructions with people trying to walk around. So I think that's a fantastic addition, providing a central visitor parking space area.
Thank you. Mr. Hudson?
Yeah, I just had a question about the greenhouse. Is that going to be like a pre-manufactured building, or what will the nature of that be? I don't think the elevations speak much to it, so I was just curious what that is.
Yeah, I'll have Caroline speak a little bit to it.
So the greenhouse is very much a type of greenhouse you might find in your own garden. It has no slab, no footings. The arches are just tube arches, and it's a equivalent of a plastic sheet that's over that, right? So it's just longer because of the needs of the cemetery, but the construction of it is on soil and will just bring electricity, water, and gas so that it can stay heated. But the construction of it is not a building per se.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, is there lighting proposed inside that, or is it?
So this is a design build type of, it's going to be installed and by the manufacturer. So yes, there will be lighting.
I guess what I'm getting at is you're not going to have a plastic structure with like grow lights going all night or anything like that. I mean,
the light won't be on during
yeah, there's
the night.
I asked because on 106 in Loudon area, there's like a lettuce farm, and there was a major controversy because it's huge and lit up at night and that sort of thing, but this is nothing like that, I understand. I just wanted to understand better what the nature of it was.
And this is very similar to what is
Yeah.
currently. The current structure are just old, so we're replacing that and adjusting so that it fits on the site with the new building.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, thank you. Other questions from the board? All right. Seeing none at this time, are there any members of the public that wish to speak in opposition or with concern to this project? Any members of the public that would like to speak in support of this project? All right, seeing none, one last chance for the board. All right. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing, go into our public meeting. I guess I don't have too much to add on this one. Don't really have an issue with the waiver requests. It's, refreshing, I guess, to hear in some manner that the trustees are paying for this. But it really beyond that, it seems like kind of a needed upgrade. Again, I do appreciate the fact that the footprint is very similar to what's there now. So I would personally be in support of this project, but I don't know if other board members would like to chime in or add their thoughts. All right. No one? That's all right. That's not a bad thing. It means they did a good job. If you think so as well, if there were a board member who was so inclined, first matter we should take up are the 3 waivers that were requested. Mr. Green, you looked eager, so if you don't mind, certainly go right ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion for new business A 25-0206 to grant the following waivers: 190-279E to show all bearing and distances of all property lines. There's 3 waivers under that statute. Are they all supposed to be the same numbers? 190-279E.
Oh, good catch.
They should be 3 different numbers.
Yeah. Hold on.
Is it in your waiver letter?
Yeah.
I think they're referred to above correctly.
They are.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
All right, then
B, E, and EE.
I will read from there. I'm going to restart that waiver. Make the motion to grant the following waiver of 190-279B to not include all bearings and distances of all property lines. The second 190-279E to not show existing conditions on adjacent parcels as appropriate, and 190-170E to not meet all requirements for non-residential building standards. Finding that strict conformity would pose an unnecessary hardship to the applicant, and the waivers would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations for the specific conditions of the land, and will properly carry out the spirit and intent.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Green. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Hirsch. Any further discussion? I had one minor one. I think in the staff report, the 3rd waiver is still 190-170EE in the applicant's waiver request letter. It's listed as 190-170 without the EE. Is that correct?
Yeah, 170 is correct, yes.
Okay.
So no EE.
No EE. Drop.
Looks like that got stuck in there or something.
Oh, that's okay. So just wanted to check.
Yep.
Somebody got
Amend my
EE
motion
happy.
to drop the E in the 190-2.
No, 170.
170.
Gotcha. All right, thank you. Amended motion by Mr. Green. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Hirsch. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Mr. Green, would you care to continue?
Try to get this one right the first time. I'd like to make a motion to grant the final site plan approval for the proposed development of the site and associated site improvements at 107 Amherst Street, finding that the application meets approval criteria outlined in the site plan, NRO 190-146D, subject to the following conditions noted in the staff report A through H.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Green. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Clee. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
We're moving.
Yeah, we're cruising now, huh? All right. All right. Next item on the agenda, under new business site plan, Case 825-0201, property located at 90 Northwest Boulevard, YMCA of Nashua, owner and applicant. Has any member of the board had an opportunity to review this application for completeness, is willing to make a motion for board acceptance? Mr. Varley?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, sorry.
That's okay.
Didn't mean to be hesitant.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, as to case number 825-0201, I would make a motion it is complete and ready for the board to accept jurisdiction.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Varley. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Green. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, if you're not sick of me yet, I'll make this the quickest one. For the record, Ethan Beals, project manager at Hayner Swanson, doing business at 3 Congress Street. Here tonight representing the YMCA of Greater Nashua. Here tonight simply seeking a 1-year extension to the site plan approval that was previously granted in November 2024 for a proposed outdoor recreation center along with associated site improvements at 90 Northwest Boulevard here in Nashua. There are no plan changes from the original approval. Last fall, the final site plan was signed by the planning board chair. A bond was posted. A pre-construction meeting was held in anticipation of the start of construction, but last fall, unfortunately, that did not happen. Construction was delayed due to fundraising / balancing capital improvement project commitments at other YMCA locations here in New Hampshire. Now they're really trying to target a fall of 2026, likely September 2026 start, with the hopes of the new recreation area being open after about a 6 to 9 month construction. So that would put us in the spring / summer of 2027 for an opening. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. From the board, Mr. Hudson, please.
Question for staff. Is it appropriate to do a 12-month extension, or should we be considering these for longer? As much fun as I like bringing these up every year. I know some state law recently changed around housing. Some of those timelines or extensions are being vested for longer periods of time. So this has been noticed as 12 months. We should carry through for the 12 month. But I guess it's just a question. Should we be perhaps granting some of these for a longer period of time in the future as part of our amended land use regulations?
Well, it's the board's pleasure for this application, and obviously subject to the applicant actually requesting a longer extension. We would certainly be amenable to that and note it.
It's possible, in other words. There's nothing preventing us from doing such a thing? Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
I think they were pretty close.
Again, I'm not suggesting it for this case. I'm just in the future.
Would it be beneficial for the applicant to reapply for 18 or longer period than approving it today as is?
Well, let me ask, Mr. Beals, how against the clock are you? Would you be amenable to?
So two things. One, I think at this point in time, it's my understanding that we're trying to target a fall of 2026. So either way, at the end of the day, the plans have been signed by the chair. A bond has already been posted. Pre-construction meeting already held. So we've checked. We got to the very finish line, the edge of the diving board, and we just didn't take that final leap. I would be nervous about submitting a new application because we're past that original 1 year. The application for tonight was submitted within that time frame, and so I think at this time we're comfortable with a 1 year extension.
We thank you for your answer. We weren't trying to paint you into a corner, but it looks like perhaps if you're involved in other applications that staff may be amenable to discussing a more or a different timeline. So, but Mr. Hudson, thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, I mean, just, if I may.
No, please, yeah.
Especially cases where it's a nonprofit, we understand they need to raise money, that sort of thing. There's an expense to having them go through this process of an extension, and so just something to consider for future cases.
Alderman Clee, yes.
I'm glad that Mr. Hudson had brought that up, because that was my concern too. I know, having worked with other fundraising, my concern is that I'm not going to put anybody on the foot and say, do you have the money now? But I know things stall, and this time of year is really hard to get funding. Sometimes the end of the year is okay, but again, my concern is that you'll be here and the funding won't there. And I'm not asking you to reapply or do anything of that nature, but maybe for staff in the future, when we have something like that, maybe suggest to them, especially if the delay is due to fundraising, that we ask just for an 18 months versus that. I know even when we were doing the Performing Arts building, you know, we hit our 1 year, and then it was like, okay, you know, we need to show intent so that the money keeps coming in, but at the same time, you don't want anything to be stalled. So just for future reference. Thank you.
Understood, and again, thanks for bringing that up, Dan. Aside from that, I've got zero issues with granting the requested extension. So I don't know if you have any more questions for Mr. Beals, but if not, are you folks here to testify on this case, or?
No, they're the next case.
Oh, you're the next
There's one
case.
more, yeah.
All right. I figured that was likely since you're the last, but, you know, just wanted to make sure. Yes, thank you. All right, we have.
They're sticking it out, yeah.
No input from the public on this case. I'm going to close the public hearing. I stand by, this seems pretty straightforward, so if Mr. Green, right on cue.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion for 825-0201 to grant final site plan approval for a 1-year extension of the site plan at 190 Northwest Boulevard as outlined in 190-146D, subject to the following subsequent conditions, or condition A in the staff report.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Green, is there a second? Second by Mr. Hirsch. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, you get to go home, Mr. Beals. All right. Next item on the agenda, case 825-0204, property located at 159 Temple Street. Has any member of the board had an opportunity to review this application for completeness and is willing to make a motion regarding the board accepting jurisdiction? Oh, Alderman Cleat.
I say that we should accept with no implications so on, and accept taking as jurisdiction.
All right.
Am I saying this wrong?
That's okay.
Apologize.
It's all good. Thank you. Motion by Alderman Clee. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Varley. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Is anyone here to speak on behalf of this application tonight?
Yes. My name is Michael Malinowski from Allen & Major Associates.
Wait, I'm sorry, Mike, can you hold 1 second? We just got to pull your audio up.
Okay.
Sam, should we turn anything over here?
Connor might know.
I don't know if I can turn it.
What about over here?
Yeah, that one.
Over this way?
No, he said no.
Does that help?
No touchy.
Try again.
Don't touch.
I think I'll put it back where it was.
Try saying it now.
Michael, go ahead.
Thank you.
Is that all right,
First of
Michael?
all, happy birthday to Mr. Hudson. I thank the board and the town for letting me remote.
I can't hear it.
Yeah, Mike, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think we're still having audio issues on our end.
He might have to
Okay.
do something in here then.
We
can't. We can't.
We're not, it must be the acoustics in the room, because we're not getting it up here.
I think you're getting it
It's
from
not
there.
coming through these
It's not
speakers.
coming through here, yeah.
It's very light.
I can't really hear it.
No, I'm saying it's light, I can barely hear it.
Is that any better?
No.
We can all go sit there.
I'm gonna go, knock
Go
on
talk.
If you
Yeah,
can give
is
a
there a-
little knock there.
Yeah, I think there's a microphone or put against the speaker.
Yeah, Mike, I'm sorry, just bear with us here.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Answer that question.
So don't touch the.
That's what he said.
touchy.
Well, if you want a speakerphone, would it count?
Maybe you can call it.
Smartphone.
Yes,
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
Should we briefly pause this and move on to the other items on the agenda, or?
Yeah.
I was just gonna try to knock off a couple things, but something.
We don't have any other regular business, so.
Well, just the
other
tentative
business.
agenda.
Tentative
things like that.
agenda and.
But I'm sorry for.
He's also unable to change the volume from there as well, so.
Okay.
There's some knob that we don't know where it is exactly.
Is,
It just feels like nothing's coming through the speakers here.
I think it's only from this one, and it's.
No, I can hear like a little bit, but
Yeah.
those speakers are not working.
They're not very.
No, I hear almost nothing.
No. Those speakers may be working, but these just are not.
Maybe if he calls back in.
Not connected. Speakers hide it.
yeah, I'm not sure. Mike, is there any chance you might want to try logging out and logging back in?
I can do that.
Wait, don't,
That's better.
whatever
Don't
you,
go away.
yeah.
Just maybe speak up
Yeah,
into
just.
the mic.
Yeah.
Does that work?
I'm sorry.
All right, I think we might have this as good as we can get it right now.
Okay.
So appreciate your patience, understanding this is a request for an extension, and the fact that the audio may or may not leave us at any moment. I would ask for brevity in your presentation, please.
Thank you, and I will do my best. I am unfortunately under the weather right now, so that is why I'm trying to do it remote. We are here before you for an extension request for a property located at 159 Temple Street that had been approved last March for 168 residential units located in the general industrial district in the transit-oriented development. Plans have not changed. The current owner has been working with SMC Management Corp. They had done the Riverfront Landing Phase 1, Phase 2 in Nashua down the street. They're currently in negotiations to purchase the property. And what we're trying to do is to grant them a little more time to solidify that so that they can take over the project and start construction. I know there had been a discussion relative to the last application about possibly allowing for a greater extension. If that is something that is amenable to the board, we might be able to request that, possibly going to an 18-month.
No, Mike, I think you, sorry to cut you off, you may have missed some of the context. That was for a nonprofit, there were some other things.
Gotcha.
So, sorry, you're stuck with the regular 12-month. Okay.
We'll with that then.
I'm sorry, please continue, sorry for the
That's
interruption.
okay. No worries. So we are requesting a 12-month extension for the project. The plans have not changed. This will simply allow us to finalize hopefully the transfer between one entity and another.
All right. Well, thank you. We might have a couple of questions here for you. It looks like Alderman Klee, go right ahead.
I know it's the volume and so on, but the request for the extension is, the reason for it is that they're trying to buy another parcel, and that's in negotiations. Did I get that correct?
No, let me click. The current property owner who is the JBC Properties is currently in negotiations to sell the project to SMC Management Corp. That's the same group that built Riverfront Landing Phase 1 and Phase 2 in the city. So they're currently in negotiations to buy this project. And so the extension would allow them to finalize that paperwork and then take over the project and construct it.
Does that help?
Yeah,
Alderman Klee?
it did. Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions from the board? Yeah, David?
Well, not so much a question, more of a statement, I guess. This one was originally approved in 2019, so this one's been,
Well, I think
is that correct?
I think there was a resubmittal March 7th, 2025.
Oh,
Is
okay,
that
which, a
correct?
new case?
Of a new case.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that, because I know we've heard about this for many, many years.
It did
I think
start.
that resubmittal wasn't large changes to the previous proposal.
Correct. It was a total reapplication, new fees, same project. though.
Same project, though.
Yeah, they just ran out of their extension.
Yeah, so I just want to make it, yeah, I guess, well, good. I'm glad we timed it out and made them reapply, because there is a reasonable limit to the amount of extensions. I will say, there's engineering comments, there was, the plans, it hadn't changed, but there were still some remaining comments to address. In looking at this, again, we modified a couple of conditions, added a couple more things in, so we don't normally do that, but it's like, the longer these things sit around, you see things that you think should have been addressed. So we did add a couple of minor engineering conditions. I'd characterize them as minor conditions here with this one, where we hadn't done that before. But again, this one's largely been the same since 2019, so I think that was reasonable to do. So statements, I guess, not questions, but I just wanted to make the board aware
No,
of
you actually.
why there was engineering comments.
You answered my question. I was going to ask what led to the additional
Great.
comment letter, so,
Great.
so no, I'm okay here. Alderman Clee? Yep.
Okay, so when we do or don't grant the extension, however it comes out, do we need to incorporate these comments and say that they need to be addressed, or?
Yeah, and it's listed as a subsequent condition, so,
Okay.
so condition A would be all prior conditions or carry forward, and condition B would be resolving.
In the email from Joe Mandela?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, and we have reviewed those, and I agree with Mr. Hudson's summary of those. They're relatively minor in nature. There was some sort of regulatory changes that the city of Nashua has. So I'm working with Joe Mandola to at least get those updated and noted correctly on the plans.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Other questions from the board? No? All right. Mike, thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like no one else. You're good, right? All right. And Connor, there's no one else on Zoom? All right. All right. I'm going to close the public hearing. We'll go into our public meeting. I sort of have the same sentiments Dan has. It'd be nice for it to get going, but if there's a active negotiation for the sale of the property and someone might be able to build it, then I wouldn't have a problem granting the extension in this case. I won't speak to others, but if we were to get beyond that year again, well, we'll see it. It washes out how it washes out. But Alderman Clee? Yeah.
Thank you. In looking in this, I understand that it started in 2019. They had to reapply. Is this the first extension since the reapplication? So the September 21st, 2024 is when the first one expired. They reapplied, and this is just because it seems like it's been over a year.
Actually, it's a little early. It will expire
The March 7th,
in
2025?
3 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're just trying to, as you said.
Be proactive.
Settle things for the sale.
So will the one-year extension be from the March 7th, 2025 date? So it'll give them to March,
It would be from today. Yeah.
or it'll be from today and not from,
No, it's-
where it would have
it's from
expired on the
March.
26th?
Is it really? Oh, okay. You can
So
do
it'll
it.
be,
Huh?
so it would extend it from March 2026 to March 2027. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Interesting.
All right. Thank you for the question, Alderman Clee, on the clarification on that. Any further discussion amongst the board? Great. In that case, Mr. Green.
All right, I'd like to make a motion for new business A25-0204 to grant the one-year extension of the final site plan approval to construct 2 84-unit apartment buildings associated site improvements on 1 59 and 161 Temple Street, finding the application meets the requirements outlined in 190-146D, subject to the following subsequent conditions, A through B noted in the staff report.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mr. Green, is there a second? Second by Mr. Varley. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda. Review of tentative agenda to determine developments of regional impact. Has any member of the board had an opportunity to review the projects from the January 8th, 2026 meeting? Who's willing to make a Mr. Varley, go right ahead.
Mr. Chair, having reviewed the tentative agenda, I would make a motion that there are no proposals of regional impact.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Varley. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Green. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. Motion passes. Sam, I gotta be honest with you. CIP is not gonna be discussed this evening. So I understand January 22nd is a fairly light agenda. Is that a true statement?
Middle of the road, middle of the road.
Five potential.
Does the board think that it needs a lengthy discussion of the CIP?
Well, I guess that's, I didn't want to do a deep dive, I just didn't know what appetite was. But, I mean, if, we're here, it's 10:01. So if there's a quickie version, and are we expected, Sam?
Can we just hear Sam's real quick spiel?
That's what I mean, like, as an action item expected tonight?
That would be
ideal.
Yeah, my concern is that it's going to be heard in front of the Board of Aldermen on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So.
If folks have the
Reader's Digest version?
appetite, yeah, you want to try to burn through this?
I think so, because like I said, there's going to be action taken, I believe, or presentation at least on on Tuesday. So it would kind of make any further action from this committee move. Am I correct on that? Yes, no?
I wouldn't quite phrase it that way, but I will be very quick.
Yes.
Go for it. Let's stop talking about it, let's do it.
The Capital Improvements Committee is a subcommittee of the Planning Board. They're tasked with soliciting and scoring and ranking all capital projects. That is by charter. So basically, the CIC has done this. They put together this report. Many of the projects you may recognize from past years. But basically, the CIC then compiles all the projects, puts them together in this document, and then they vote, which we did on Monday, favorable recommendation to the Planning Board, and then the Planning Board is then asked to make a recommendation to the Board of Aldermen for adoption of the capital improvements plan. Happy to answer any questions about the report or individual projects, but I doubt we need to get into that level of detail.
The only other thing I'll add, in other duties as assigned, I'm the de facto chair of the Capital Improvement Committee. Last year, we completely sort of revamped the scoring criteria. We tried to make it honestly more objective and less subjective. So this is our second year of doing it. Presentations from all department heads were, I thought, very informative and helpful as always. And at the end of the day, we come up with a 1 through 5 scoring system. So it's myself, aldermanic representative, we have a public member as well, and a few members of city staff. Sam and Marcia Wilkins in planning do most of the heavy lifting behind the scenes, but I feel that it's a quality representation. It's probably never going to be a perfect process, but again, having that unique composition of public involvement, elected involvement, and staff involvement, trying to take a separate look for ranking city projects, aside from what the aldermen would normally do on their own. So that said, I don't want to go on too long, obviously, and I'm sure if you have questions about individual projects, as Sam stated, you can certainly bring that up. And just for the only other thing I'll add, the ranking here does not necessarily infer or imply how projects are ultimately funded. This is sort of the first run through a project which was ranked in the middle of the pack or low just because of whatever reason. I won't get into all the machinations. I'm sure Alderman Clee could provide further clarification. But this is sort of one look at it. Ultimately, it's an aldermanic process. We let our elected officials determine where our tax dollars go. But that's it. So I won't go on unless there's questions. Alderman Clee.
Yeah, I just want to comment that I like the new ranking system versus the A through F or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And Mr. Durfee, please correct me if I'm wrong. What was just said is basically the aldermen have the right to bubble something up to the top if they feel that there's more urgency, or if something throughout the year does in fact happen. But this gives the aldermen a better view. You know, it talks about the urgency, the readiness, whether or not it's shovel-ready project, which, you know, it may be an urgent project, but if they're not ready, that would kind of push them towards it. So the ranking and so on. My only question is is there anything new or that stood out? I mean, when I looked through it, truthfully, I didn't go through the previous CIP, but is there anything that was new? I mean, from my own perspective, I look at my Lock and Whitney Street sidewalk and bike lane, and I see that, but that's just something that's always been. These don't say where the funds are coming from, so in other words, that's an 80-20 kind of type of thing. So is there anything, in your view, that really kind of bubbles up that we should pay a little attention to?
Just for reference, Alderman Clee, our committee did, the department had to divulge,
Right.
not that it was a secret, but divulge was not the right
With a
word, but
funding.
share with us if there was already a federal grant in place. So, you know, in other words, it would be non-city expenditures. So something may have gotten, you know, that does get weighted in a way. Mr. Hudson was very thorough with his presentation about what projects he had applied for or tried to get into the 10-year plan and other grants of that type. So I think that certainly is a part of it. So I think to the extent possible, and the extent that a layperson like me can understand it, they do try to present how much is outside of city funding and then how much is coming from the Nashua tax base. So.
Okay. But again, I will just ask, is there anything in particular that you think would kind of bring to our attention that we need to comment on, or no? Okay.
No, nothing I think that the board needs to comment on. One thing we did differently, we put the enterprise fund projects in a different table simply because they are funded by their own services, their service fees. And so that then increases the ranking. But again, the rankings really do not matter all that much, simply because this again this document is a vehicle for project solicitation brought to what has been called the ad hoc committee that determines how projects are funded, be it city cash or bonding to the city. The CIP committee is not concerned with how the city pays for it. However, we do take into account, as Chairman Bollinger said, if there are federal dollars being leveraged, say with the airport, lots of FAA money coming in, that is reflected in the weighting of those scores.
Again, may I comment? The reason I had brought up the federal dollars or state dollars or whatever coming through is because oftentimes there's an expiration date on those, that you must be shovel ready or you must get started with the project by a certain date or those funds expire. That was kind of what is there something that we need to kind of look at so that we, in recommending, and I know the CIC is more of an advisory, they do the heavy lifting for the aldermen because we wouldn't have the time nor the inclination to go through all these as that great committee did, and I know it's a lot of work, so.
No, and all that information relative to expiration of funds is included in the department's presentations, and the software which they submit their request is actually going to be utilized during the ad hoc process. So all the information that was before the CIC will also be before the ad hoc
Perfect.
committee, so all the pertinent information will be available to anyone who's involved in the decision-making process.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Hudson, please.
So I just had a question, maybe clarify, but I know that I think this is, CIC is supposed to be like $50,000 minimum project. 100, okay. So I see some of these, like the second ranked project is $6,000. Is that because it has to be on the list to be considered as a capital project?
$6,000?
Well, number 2, Airport Authority says runway pavement maintenance marking, $6,645.
That's the city share.
Right, 5%.
The entire project, right.
So the categorization is the entire project cost needs to be 100,000 or more.
Yep.
That's why it's on the list, even though it's a small city match relative to the federal match, I'm assuming. Okay, thank you.
Other questions for Sam or discussion amongst the board? Great. Mr. Bartley?
Not questions or discussions, but I would be amenable to making a motion, understanding that we could still discussion on a second if
Go
we really need
right
to,
ahead,
but,
certainly.
But yes, trusting in the hard work and good judgment of the CIC, I would like to make a favorable recommendation on the capital improvements plan.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Bartley. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Green. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Hudson abstains.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
All right. The only other thing, this is going to take 30 seconds. Officer selection. I think we're doing this a little later than we normally do. I've spoken with Adam. Adam is content to stay in the vice chair role. I am content if you will have me in the chair role. I know typically Maggie, our secretary, sends out sort of solicitations. I think Sam and Connor, or Connor, we're going to reach out to her separately. So you'll probably see an email from Maggie, but we should still follow through with the normal nomination process, and we can collect votes. I think ideally we would have done that tonight, but it's okay. We slipped a little bit, and we're good. We haven't broken any laws. But yeah, just be on the lookout if you get an email from Maggie. She may be looking for nominations. You don't have to vote or recommend me or Adam. We just traditionally let folks know that we're amenable to continuing. So, but I think that's it. Sam, did we miss anything?
I'll just say we have that note on there about a code presentation. We'd love to do one at some point. If you have any items in the code that you'd really like to focus on, shoot me an email. I can incorporate it. We're about like 85, 90% done with the code. We're going to start site plan subdivision regulations with a target adoption date of a unified land use document of July 1 of this year.
Great. Is that something, Sam, where you would like, I assume you'd like to talk to us? Would you like to pick a date at some point?
We'll keep an eye on the agendas.
That's what I mean.
You know, it's likely we'd pick a light meeting. I don't think we'd hold a meeting, say, you know, we don't have any applications. We probably would hold a meeting just for a presentation, unless the board would like that. But I think, you know, potentially the 22nd or maybe a meeting in February soon would be good.
Okay.
Question?
Alderman Cleat, yep.
With all the changes that are happening up in Concord and all the land use flip-flops that are going on up there, will that have any effect on what you're working on?
Yes.
I figured. Will you, at the time that you do a presentation, will you have any update or idea as to what may have to change? I know I've been looking at municipal and so on. There seems like there's a lot there, so.
I can briefly touch on some of the legislation and what it may entail and what it could mean.
Right.
Relatively minor things and little tweaks. There's one piece of legislation that could be a doozy for us if
Yeah.
we're still navigating it. So, yes.
I
can
saw
touch
that
on
one. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, any further questions of Sam? Think we'd be looking for a motion to adjourn. Mr. Green?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned at 10:15. Thank you, everybody.